advised against it. But you know the actress who plays Lucia? Oh, have you sorry.
Here we go, Thursday night, guys. Let me know how that audio sounds. We got a hell of a show for you guys. As you guys know, the Great Crap Gamers here. I see people in the audience just already got their matches lit. They want to hear crap, which I do too, by the way. I really, really do. Guys, we got a great show for you tonight. Take a look at that outstanding description right there. Right above that's the join button. A lot of buttons right there. Feel free to get button happy and hit that join button, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Your name comes up in lights. You guys already know this. Shout out to a few people that are here. I see Powler here. I see Dark Lord Alu. He says, Mooch, I need you to say it. Dark Lord, this is for you. PlayStation Nation World Domination is the ultimate gaming machine. This is what he wants to hear. He's so excited. Gears is there. He's waiting for Halo to go next. Shout out to Dark Lord. He's been asking all week. You got to say it. So shout out to him and all that are here. I see Ocelot. It's great to have him. Marsh. Who else is here real quick? Just a couple. Tool Man was here early. JC 2013, of course. El Nini. Guys, do me a favor. Please do tweet it out. I put it in the chat. Send the link out on all over on social media. Let everybody know that we're live. Let me know how the audio is. We're doing a little bit of a sound check here. Here comes T-Rock. He says, I'm only here to make Mooch read wild super chats. T-Rock, you do that to me week in and week out, but I do appreciate you more than you'd ever know. That had to have been Nib. That must have been Nib. I'm not sure, but it could have been Nib. We're not really sure.
I don't even know how to do sounds on this thing.
I don't know how you did sounds at all on that, to be honest. Well, maybe it was crap. Could have been crap. Could have been crap. It's definitely crap. There you go. It's better than the sound effects he used to have on MC Mornings. Those were really out there. I love it. Shout out to the Great Crap Gear. Guys, listen, do me a favor. As you guys are hitting the buttons and enjoying it and everything, tweeting it out, I'll do introductions here. The Great Crap Gamer. Crap, listen, this is one of those weeks, right? Now, everyone has kind of made it famous now that you start the show with your rants. I was going to start with GTA 6. I know you're going to go. You want to get right to the meat and potatoes with this one. I don't know if you can hold out. I don't know if you can do it, but it's great to have you here as always, Crap.
Yeah, it's what's interesting, Mooch, is like even when stuff's coming, you still are like that mother effer. You know what I mean? When it happens.
He's still mad.
So it's like, yeah, it's sort of like that with me with this stuff, right? Like I know that this stuff is coming. I know that it wasn't 4 games. And here's the thing, right? Because I know people come at me sometimes on X or whatever, and they're like, how can you be so against Xbox here, but then you'll do a video that's pro Xbox? Because I can differentiate something that would be good for somebody who just owns an Xbox and just had Game Pass, right? And then that would be from that perspective. But I always say in every single video that I've done and that I've been doing for many months now, even in a good video for Xbox, I'll say, and while this is good, the strategy that Microsoft has right now is piss poor and will lead to the end of Xbox. So enjoy what you have now. That's fine. But just know that their strategy is complete garbage and will kill their platform because there's no reason to buy their console. So, I'm very upfront about it. You know what I mean? Because people are like, well, you go back and forth. Not really. Like, listen, I don't think anybody can deny this is a hell of a year for Game Pass, right? Like it's like the best year ever, right? Finally, this is what it should have been every year, really.
Yeah, but, every year.
This is a great year. Like you can't really dispute that.
No.
And so I'm not going to lie and go, oh, it's a shit year for Game Pass. No, it's great. It's been a great year for it. But for me, that's a cherry on top. That's a rental service. You know what I'm saying? It's like not the full meal. You know what I mean? Like I would never treat Game Pass like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I kind of look about it. And then not only that, but it's like so many different things. Like you have something like an Xbox. Like I bought a 360 when I saw Cliffy B playing Gears of War on G4 television before the 360 even launched. They were previewing this game and I knew I had to get a 360. Right? I just knew I had to get one. And, those 3 games original 3 were amazing. And I still like Gears of War, but it's just like, I just find it so disingenuous from Microsoft, and
Yeah.
you know, and there's that small group of people that are like, "Who cares that more people get to play it? It's going to do huge." And
I
this
know.
is what I think about it. Like, because people ask me, they go, well, "What do you think it's going to do on PlayStation?" I said, "It'll probably do okay for the first couple weeks."
Right.
But the problem with the original Gears of War and the first few Gears of War, it's a product of its time, 2006.
That's right.
Holding A to road, you got a roadie run. Like, people aren't going to like that. That the multiplayer is super hardcore. It's the wall bouncing. You're forced. By the way, multiplayer is forced crossplay.
Yep.
So yeah, good luck with that. You're stuck playing against like PC dudes that are gonna use a mouse to wall bounce and all that kind of stuff. Not only that, but the cheats and things like that. But also, it's just like a very linear, old school, clunky kind of game for 2025, right?
Mhm.
This game came out 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
I think initially there will, just like with Halo, if they released Halo CE again on PlayStation, initially you would see some numbers there, but then within a month it would be gone completely because it's a product of its time. Nobody wants to play a game that you can't sprint in. Right? Like, I mean, I'm just being real with it. You know what I mean? The power weapon formula is kind of gone in today's multiplayer games. Someone that's playing Fortnite or Warzone.
Do you think they're gonna? Well,
Apex Legends.
Crap. We'll
Dude,
get.
I tried to play Apex Legends one day, right?
Yeah.
And I've never played that game before. I thought I was having a stroke, man. It moved so fast. I was like, geez. You know what I mean? I never went back to it. I was like, I can't play this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm old. I can't play that anymore. But it's like, yeah, like people that are used to playing those fast-paced games, they're going to absolutely hate this game. So, like, yeah, good. Microsoft, continue just destroying your brand, for a few extra bucks. You know what I'm saying? And, Phil Spencer needs to go. That whole group needs to go. I've been saying that for a little while. That whole leadership.
It's funny though, Crap. Whether it's Nintendo or Sony, Xbox has the longest tenure for the higher ups, right? I mean, you've seen Sony change hands a bunch of times. Nintendo, I mean, right? I mean, they even changed hands.
There's no world in where a console can succeed without having something exclusive on it, right? There's in the history of video games, any console that lacked exclusive games or, you know what I mean, has failed spectacularly. And I just don't see how people, and the people that stick up for this, that are supposedly Xbox fans, I mean, they really need kind of like to check it out. Like, those are the ones I feel like when Microsoft does say, and they're going to do an announcement that they quit hardware one day, they're going to be like, I'm shocked. I didn't see the signs. Where were the signs?
I've seen, Crap. One of the excuses I've seen recently, that Xbox is making PlayStation lose its identity. That had me rolling, bro. Because let's get this right. So PlayStation having Xbox games on PlayStation, or Xbox not having PlayStation games on Xbox, is making PlayStation lose its identity, not Xbox.
I see this Trojan horse talk too, man.
Reverse, bro.
Yeah, they're like Trojan horse. I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, Microsoft's really winning. I'm like, yeah, and much the way fucking Sony or Sega's beating Nintendo today, right?
Yeah,
right. They're winning, right, guys? Sega, right?
Sega,
because they got their games on a Nintendo, so they're winning, right?
They do.
Too much.
I mean. Yeah, I mean that's the same. It's so ridiculous. If you're an Xbox fan, I take it that you like the fucking Xbox, right? I like the Xbox, and Xbox is a fucking Xbox. It's a console. It's not a PC. It's not a phone. It's not a smart fridge. It's not a smart watch. It's not a fucking tablet. It's a damn console, right?
Yeah.
And what I find funny is, despite the fact that they're like, there's billions of gamers and we have, all these hundreds of millions of gamers, the number of monthly active users that Microsoft has is the exact amount that Activision had before they bought them. So they haven't grown anything.
No.
You know what I mean? I'm just looking at them like, okay, pre-buyout, after buyout, same fucking number when you compare with the amount with Xbox, what they had before, plus on top of Activision, the same number.
Yeah.
Right?
So
it's like, yeah, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so frustrating. I don't know. And people get like, and they're like, well, just quit Xbox, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, it's not as easy as that, because like many people, I've got, thousands of games on there, thousands
Well,
of
that's the
dollars
thing.
worth.
I think, Crap, when it comes down to it, we know that the new games that are coming out are all going to be on all consoles, all systems, PC, all platforms.
Yeah.
But now you bring up a good point. We will get to it during the Gears segment.
Hey,
but you're right, though. What about the preservation of games, right?
My prediction is we've seen the last quote unquote exclusive, which I think was South of Midnight. Excuse me.
South of Midnight.
Everything else. Yeah, I think everything else. Because if you look at it, the Tony Hawk remasters, Oblivion, Outer Worlds 2, what the hell, Gears of War, even, right? These games are all coming day one to PlayStation. So, I know some people, I've seen deluded people out there, Mooch, crazy, wacky people, Mooch, and they go, well, this is brilliant by Microsoft. They're going to get people hooked on Gears, and when E-Day comes out, they're going to have to buy an Xbox.
Yeah, I don't know where they're coming up with that.
Crack?
Yeah, where are you coming up with that?
Yeah, like, are you? Hey, crack! It's like, damn, is that making a comeback?
It might be.
There is no way, because there is no way Microsoft's not going to put that game on PlayStation day one, right? It's definitely going to be on PlayStation day one. Like Microsoft is not only that, but like if you wanted any more of a and I know I'm ranting, but like I keep seeing this stuff. It's like Gears of War, this new remaster of a remaster that they're coming out with. They're going to have a physical version only on PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
What a fuck you to Xbox fans, right? What an absolute fuck you to Xbox fans.
They
really sold
is.
people, probably close to 20 million people, a console with a disc drive. Their own first-party game isn't going to have a fucking disc version? But they're going to put the disc version on like a competing platform. Like, how much do people need to see from this company to see that they don't give a shit? You know what I mean? And they wonder why. And you want to know why there's no live audience at their showcase this year? Because they're going to have, I guarantee they're going to have a Halo reveal, and then you're going to see fucking PlayStation 5 logo on it.
Yep.
Right? Like, and they would get booed out of the fucking building. Like, people would smuggle fruit in and pelt Phil Spencer with it, right? And they don't want that to happen. They don't want the heckle. They don't want the, all that kind of stuff. That's 100% the reason, right? Like Microsoft they're screwed, man. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about, they like the people that stuck with them for years and years and years. They don't care about any of that. The only thing and if you look at it, right, all the influencers, and this isn't me like calling any specific person out, but all the influencers are a lot of them that used to be like an Xbox influencers. Now they're like PC influencers or whatever. They don't even play Xbox. They just play PC.
Bro. Yeah. Yeah,
that's so ridiculous.
Over.
And I've seen the meme where it's like it has a PC mask on, but behind it is an Xbox logo. It's like so ridiculous.
Shout out to D-Batch, man. Shout out to D-Batch.
No, listen, I'm not calling out anybody in specific. I just seen a lot of this, right? Like these people were Xbox fans and like for years talking about Xbox, and now they're like, well, I got my super duper triple bird rig all set up, and I'm going to be playing this at 800 frames per second with full 8K graphics, PC Master Race. All hail Lord Gaben, right? No, just kidding. We're going to play these games. We're going to be playing these PS2 style games called Counter-Strike Go that fucking could play on PlayStation 1.
Hey,
Dota 2, that's really pushing things, man. Dota.
You don't have to beat Death Singer like that, bro. Come on.
Death Singer is.
It's because I'm gonna slam dunk all of you. No single console exclusive to beat my PC exclusive called League of Legends. Why? Because there are more people playing that single PC exclusive than there are people who own a PlayStation.
That's like saying because there's more people playing Roblox. That's like saying because there's more people playing Roblox, is Roblox a better game than Death Stranding 2? Like, hell no. Just because it's more popular doesn't make it better.
I love it. By the way, crap, outstanding. You really, you know what's funny? Before any good show goes on, guys, everybody in the audience wondering right now, you have to have someone that comes out and gets the audience riled up. Crap does that. It's just natural for Crap. Crap comes out here. The audience is absolutely fired up right now, Crap. You got the panel.
Day, that's why.
You got the panel writing notes right now.
Crap,
it's unbelievable.
In my mind all day, right? I'm just like, what a crock of shit. This guy, Phil Spencer, 11 years, took Xbox from last place to last place. Like, you find out stuff, like even from Tim Dog and somebody else I heard from, that worked at Microsoft, by the way, that Mooch. You've had him on the show before, but
yes.
Phil Spencer wanted to get rid of the Xbox console before this generation and wanted it to be replaced by a $99 dongle. And this person that worked at Xbox, who no longer works there, told Phil Spencer that he was fucking stupid and that was a dumb idea. And somebody else that no longer works at Xbox said the same thing. And so that's the reason why we have even a console right now. Phil Spencer didn't want the console. Phil Spencer turned down, he didn't like The Witcher 3 because Geralt was in the, what the hell was he in? The tub or whatever. right?
Tough.
He didn't like, he didn't like that Genshin Impact. He turned that down. That could have been exclusive for Xbox. He turned it down.
Yeah,
right?
there's definitely, we saw signs of that even when he got on stage a few years after he took over, and he was praising Steam at one of the big conventions, and it was like, wait, why is he? I remember one of the podcasts we were all like, why is he talking about Steam so much? You know what I mean? It was well, we love the relationship with them, and when you could see he was building that relationship, and that's really the fate that he took. That platform right down that road. Let me get to the rest of this panel crap. I got a lot of people here.
We got a panel.
I got 11 topics. We're probably going to get to like really, 2.5.
Some days like today, I wish we had just an M&C
An M&C. Well, who says we can't just go we can just go live one day on the weekend. Crap, let's see if the audience wants that.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, you know what? We didn't do the thing we were supposed to do, Mooch, remember, on April Fools? But whatever.
That's right. I remember.
Someone in the chat had a good shout, bro. He said you should have like a separate show called CrossFire.
CrossFire. I was gonna say cross gamer or CrossFire. One or the other. Whichever one sticks. We'll
Especially
see.
when you got really a lot of stuff to talk about. Like for me, like this
today
stuff
is a lot.
Like,
There's a lot today. Crap. I'll tell you, boy. We are ready to go. But let me just the great Slow-Mo backs up. Slow-Mo, I only have you for an hour, but I'm gonna go ahead and have to tack on 20 minutes to that. Just
you have me for 40 minutes.
Oh, come on, Slow-Mo. Jeez.
Look, man, I got some things to handle. I got a hard stop at 8 p.m. for me. Sorry.
Yo, Slow-Mo, shout out to Slow-Mo, definitely working with me behind the scenes on some tech stuff over the weekend too. I appreciate that. Slow-Mo, welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Hey, no problem. Hey man, I'm good, man. You know, just got finished with the eventual game of the year, Expedition 33. I'm not finished because I'm probably going to do New Game Plus, but I did beat the game a few hours ago, and man, that ending. Like that's of course no spoilers, but amazing. It's just an amazing game. One of the best games. Definitely one of the best RPGs I played in a few years. One of the best games that I would say just to come out in general in a long time. So other than that, like I mean, I normally don't do scores, but if I had to, like a 9.5, you know, or higher, it's that good to me.
I don't think I've heard I haven't heard anybody on this show who's played it in its entirety or even played 75% of it slow give it lower than a 9. It's been over a 9 by everybody, even people in the community. I'm seeing them absolutely.
I gave it a 10.
Nib went with a 10. You know, those are hard to get.
It's one of them very rare games where overhype doesn't do it justice. That it is really that good.
Well, I'll do the fast introductions for you guys. You guys already know everybody, and then I'll do a great one for the great Echo who's joining us tonight. Wooly Gamer, Wooly, great to have you here as well, buddy. I know that you had to come on, especially the minute I woke up. I got 5 different DMs from Wooly about what's going on with Death Stranding 2. You guys know he may be the most anticipated gamer anticipating this future game that's coming out this June. Wooly, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Mate, bro, I've been having kittens all day. I am so hyped. I'm like, I've not been this excited for a game since Metal Gear Solid 4. And the only time I was as equally excited for a game was for Spider-Man 2 back in 2003 or 2002 on the PS2 when I was like a little kid. And I carried a magazine around with me for 2 years. Well, no, for a year. For a whole year, just looking at these 3 pictures in this gaming magazine of Spider-Man 2 screenshots.
Yes.
Gameplay screenshots of him swinging through the city. The only time I've been that level of excited is 3 times in my life for a game. And this is the 3rd time.
Well, listen, I will dedicate, I promise you when we have when Death Stranding comes out, we will dedicate an episode to that, Wooly, because there's no way we're going to get past one topic when that comes out. I know that for sure.
We got to hash it out about Death Stranding, man. And also, I've just been playing Clair Obscur as well. I'm taking my time with it. I'm not like Nib and Slow-Mo who have completed it. But I've just gotten past the bit where Pierce Brosnan kills Robert Pattinson.
Slow down there, Wooly. Well, slow down.
No one died.
No one's dead.
Nobody. Everyone is doing great.
Everyone's fine. We're not yet. We'll beep that out later. All right, Willie, I'm going to go over to Nib real quick here to save. You were like Arya when she was on that late night TV show and said that Ned died. Listen, so let's do this. Nib, how the hell you doing, buddy?
Yeah. Not too bad. I actually did.
It's been one of the craziest beginnings to a Crossfire in a minute. Go ahead.
No, I've done all the achievements in Expedition 33. I'm not a trophy or achievement hunter. I basically barely ever bother with that stuff. But I was like, I finished it and I was like, I'm not ready to leave this world. So I need to do whatever I can. And I just, wrapped it up, did everything. I've done everything in the game now there is to do. And it's a shame the developers confirmed that there wouldn't be DLC.
I saw that.
Because I would have loved to have some. Yeah, but I'm not complaining as long as, maybe we get a sequel or something else from them. But yeah, again, like the fourth 10 out of 10 I've given this entire gen or, since the Switch came out. That's how much I loved it. That doesn't mean everyone is going to love it.
$50 games?
What,
Claire?
Expedition?
Yeah,
it is.
I think it is 50.
Yeah, it's like $50, I think. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't know that from playing it though, because hand on heart, like
it's an absolutely gorgeous. It's a breathtaking game as far as the visuals and of course the writing and the music. It really is one of the most outstanding games I've played in a while as well. I'm also taking my time.
I downloaded it. I'm just not sure if.
Crap! I do think you might dig. I don't know if the story will engulf you, but honestly, it's.
Well, let me ask you this: is there a setting for?
Yes.
Okay, because like I don't want to like people are like comparing. Everybody can laugh.
Setting for what exactly?
He likes story mode.
They don't exactly.
Yeah, he likes.
There you go.
Crap will play it on story.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what story mode does for you exactly. I just know that like you can kind of automate like your the QTE for the attacks, but you can't automate the parry and the dodging.
That's fine. It's like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like I can game. I just like at this particular age, I got to play through stuff, get through it fast. I try to like for me getting through like Avowed, getting through South to Midnight. I blasted those games were like super fast. Just how boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Like get through that shit and move on to the next thing. That's how it is.
If you want to mainline it, you can mainline it in like 25, 30 hours. And the content for the main content is not difficult. The stuff that's like will make you go, are you serious? Is the optional content. So
I don't do
that's the kind of
I don't do side quests.
Slow-mo, listen,
at all.
And the thing is, go ahead, Nim.
Have you fought Simon yet?
Yeah, I beat Simon. I beat Simon.
Did you use a nuke build or a regular build?
I pleads the fifth.
He pleads. Nib. This will be Crossfire. Crossfire after dark.
There is no way. He is harder than like anything I've faced in, I would say, in the last 10 years. I can't think of anything harder. I mean, with a non.
Yeah, but are you playing it on expert?
No, it's not even like you could be on expert or you could be on the normal mode expeditioner.
Yeah,
like his attacks are so fast that like the animations for jumping and dodging don't complete before he's attacking with the next attack. So it's like you can't even look at it. You just gotta basically be like almost like just automatic. Okay, parry, jump, parry, dodge, parry. It's just like. Yeah,
to give some context,
literally the hardest boss ever.
Shout out
the hardest boss in this game.
Hold on a second,
context, Mooch.
Go ahead.
Say he does like a 9-hit combo, right?
Yes.
In phase 3, every hit does 3 hits. So
he's got like an after image thing where he swings once, and then it's like his after image is hitting you as well. So you have to parry 3 times.
Ain't this spoilers as well? Like,
ain't this spoilers?
Am I the only one?
I don't know. Well, these are tips and tricks.
You said a character died, and we're just talking about a boss that no one knows who that is.
Everybody dies at the beginning of the game. Come on.
See, this is what I'm talking about. That's called a spoiler, Wooly.
No, Nib spoiled that when he gave the plot point.
I heard 2 that weeks ago.
So you can't. Don't do that to me.
And keep in the box.
Willie, you know
what's that crap?
Complaining about someone saying.
I said like like sometimes I'll collect games that I think will be worth money
This
in
is
the
a good,
box
yeah.
years later. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
actually I've heard ramblings that this would be a good one to buy and like keep in the box.
I agree.
With, like,
Oh,
Yeah,
stuff
it-
like
I might
that,
do
so.
that.
It very
Yeah, I
well
agree with
could
that.
be.
If you guys, like, I have a collection of those type of games, but it's like, yeah, like I've heard from some people like, hey, have you picked up this game yet? I would pick it up physically and keep the shrink wrap on it. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's not for everybody, but I'm a bit of a collector.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is a game that, yeah, that's what I've heard anyway. That
Well,
this
let
is
me
one
do
of
this.
those
We're
that-
still, believe it or not, guys, we're 28 minutes into the show. We're still in the intros. I want to get, if I could just get to the great Death Singer, everybody. Death Singer, how you doing tonight, buddy? I want to make sure you're all right as well.
Oh yeah, I'm doing fantastic. You know, I'm just jamming away through games. Paused Expedition 33 for a minute because Among Us 3D came out, and also new DLC for Age of Empires dropped. So, and a new
How do you
DLC for
pause something like
Stellaris.
Expedition 33, dude? That's crazy. That's like
Because I can-
stopping mid-sex or like
No,
watching an amazing film.
no, it's not. I can
So-
pause a
It's
game.
like, I'm just going to pull out right now before.
Well,
Make a sandwich.
It's because I can keep track of where I am in the story. When I reach a good point in a story, I'll be like, I can pause here because this is a good cap point for this part of the story. So it's like, okay, cool. I can now go do this, check out this, and then I can come back to this the following day. Because obviously I play a lot of these games, and a lot of these games get DLC. So like Stellaris just got a DLC as well, so I gotta check that out. So I'm just playing around, but then also, you know, everyone's like, oh, in the Discord, come play Among Us. And it's like, course, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and go play. Play a game with the lads, you know, have some fun. Among Us 3D is fucking hilarious. Because you just can't see anything happening behind you, so it was really weird. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Well, I appreciate that, buddy. And last but certainly not least, you guys know I've been promoting this, guys. We're hoping, the hope and pray is May 10th. We said that. This is going to be Saturday. We'll be doing a very quiet test stream. I'll be putting it out there as just a test stream going through. But the great Echo is with us, and he's the gentleman that I told you I've been playing a lot of Warzone with over the last 5 years. He'll be joining us, and I said, you know what? This would be a great idea. He even said it. He goes, why don't I come on CrossFire, hang out with the guys for a little bit? They're going to hear a lot about me on Twitch. So shout out to Echo. Echo, welcome to the show, buddy, for the first time. Long-time listener, first-time guest on the show. Echo, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Yeah, I thank you for having me, first of all. And yeah, I figured it was time to kind of just actually show my face here because we have been playing for five years now. And we've been planning the streaming stuff for, for everybody who's been hearing like, hey, you're going to stream, you're going to stream.
Yeah.
I've been pushing that, you for years. And you're like, you know what, you stream, I stream. And I'm like,
let's do it.
Well, you got my hands tied here. So yeah, I'm happy to be here, and so I just figured it'd be a good idea, and graciously thank you.
Absolutely.
To just be like, hey, this is who I am.
There he
instead
is.
of them, everybody hearing me like the first time we stream, and everyone's like,
who the hell is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
And so like for people who don't know in general, like everybody who. When you have said the great James Vincent, I'm James Vincent, by the way.
That's James Vincent. JV, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So if people, were a little confused, but I'm happy to be here. Like I said, I've been listening to you guys for years, and just always enjoying the show in the background. And so now it's time to actually come out here. And
That's
say hello.
right. That's right. Get the microphone ready. Here we go, guys. And I'm going to tell you right now, Echo, get ready. We're going to put you on the hot seat here. So I'll start with you here first and foremost. Grand Theft Auto 6 reveals a second trailer, okay? And it's completely captured on PS5, which caught, I think, the community by storm, because when it came out, everybody was saying basically, wait a minute, this is probably part PC, maybe a little bit of PlayStation. This is not going to be. They had to come out and reconfirm that it was captured on PS5.
It said right at the end.
It said it right at the end.
On PS5.
I know,
Yeah,
but
I'm
people
like,
still were questioning it,
I'm like,
crap.
damn, that's interesting. Well, listen, I mean, if anybody's going to have, they've been working on this game forever. So, I mean, if anybody's going to have, it's going to be them that's going to get the most out of it, because if you go back and look, the Pro is going to be even better, because if you, and this isn't even my question, but just real quick, like they take full advantage of whatever they have. Look at remember the Xbox One X version of Red Dead 2? That was phenomenal, right? That was native 4K. So yeah, I have absolutely faith that this thing's going to blow people away.
I do too.
And I know a lot of people don't like the Series S, but I got a feeling this thing's going to probably run fine on that too. Whatever.
Maybe not the resolution you want, but I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, but I think it'll look. They're Rockstar, right? They're gonna have everything looking running good. It just that's what they do, man.
It's a pretty good point.
They say this game cost over $1 billion to make.
Yep.
So I think for that, you're going to have things, and maybe Microsoft sends over, a couple of workers to help or whatever, if they can round them up or spare them from all the other shit that they're doing,
Yes, I hear you. So, Echo, what do you think when you hear this, basically? Because a lot of people, and I'm going to kind of combine the two topics I have here. People are saying, and I want to hear what you have to say, because whatever you're going to answer is going to set Death Singer off. Are you okay with the fact that the PS5 Pro it may have 60 FPS, maybe 40 FPS, or are they going to lock consoles to 30 FPS? Does any of that really matter if you're going to decide whether to play on the Pro day one, or are you going to wait the 12 to 18 months to play on PC?
Well, I'm going to get it. I mean, I'm going to get it on PlayStation 5 Pro regardless.
Mm-hmm.
As far as whether it's going to be locked at 30 FPS or 60 FPS, I've always thought at this point in gaming, why would anybody settle for less than 60 FPS in general? I'm just saying in general, just because of where tech is now today. I have a hard time finding, especially a studio like Rockstar, being not able to do it at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think even if it came out at 30 FPS, there's going to be people upset, like maybe Death Singer. Again, I don't know for sure, but I don't think it's going to matter as far as their sales. I think people will do, the people who will complain about it, I think you'll have a very small minority of people not get it because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think regardless, even if it came out at 30 FPS, they'll be like, oh man, this sucks. It should be at 60 FPS. All right, here's my money anyway. Because it is GTA 6. And so kind of what Crap was saying, this game cost $1 billion to make. I mean, you think about GTA 5 came out over a decade ago, or about a decade ago. I don't know the exact
over a
date.
decade ago. 2013.
2013, yeah. 2012 or
exactly.
2013, yep.
That game, and I was kind of prepping for this for the past couple of weeks. When we were kind of talking about me coming on the show, and I steadily was just watching the user base and Twitch. This is just Twitch alone, but just viewers of that game. That game, GTA 5 still has daily one of the highest amount of viewers watching that game. Now that's just watching alone. That's not just people playing as well, because people will probably also be playing, obviously, and viewing people watching it and stuff like that. So $1 billion to make this game, for this one in particular, I feel like is almost nothing for Rockstar, because not only have they made tremendous amount of money with this game alone for the past decade, but how much they're going to make once this game gets released. So 60 FPS, 30 FPS, I kind of diverged there a little bit, but I'm going to get it no matter what, because it's GTA 6. I think people are... I would have a hard time believing they're not going to have a 60 FPS mode, especially with scaling technology.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I'll be honest with you. I want to run parallel with what you're saying in a sense, and what Crap was saying. It's Rockstar, right? So, Slow-Mo, when you hear what everyone's saying here, Crap and Echo, I'll be honest with you, Slow-Mo. I would be shocked. I would be very shocked. I mean, the resolution could be, I don't know, it could be 1080p, could be 1440p, it could be somewhere in between. These wacky numbers we get sometimes, Slow-Mo, 1276p. Okay, I don't know where it'll be, but this has got to hit 60 FPS. I just don't see them promoting this, showing this. That's the base station we saw. We didn't even see what the Pro's capabilities are yet. I mean, I can't see the PS5 Pro not having a 60 FPS mode. I don't know what they're going to do to dumb it down in other categories. But what do you think, Slow-Mo? Can this thing even release not having a 60 FPS mode in 2026?
If any game can, it's this game, because it's GTA.
Man, I don't know.
It's not like it's not like people are going to be like, "Oh my God, it's not at 60 FPS. Oh, screw this game. I'm not buying it." What? That's not happening.
Really?
GTA 6.
Okay.
This game, and just look at how much attention the trailers get.
I know.
Like, just the trailers alone exceeds the gaming community. Regular media talks about these trailers. Hey, there's another GTA trailer out. This is regular media talking about it. The people who are going to buy this game don't even know what FPS means.
Yeah,
they don't know what you're talking
really
about.
Yeah.
So and Take-Two know this. So I think at the most it'll probably be a 40 FPS VRR mode for that you'll get. But I mean, with Red Dead 2 on consoles, 30 FPS. You didn't get a 60 FPS mode for GTA 5 until this generation. Like they didn't make that a priority. I don't think they ever really kind of make frames a priority. And which is fine for them because they're a bit different. They develop their games differently than everyone else. They take as much time as possible. They literally, like other developers, get deadlines. They don't. This game has been 13 years in the making. So yeah, it could be 30, it could be 40. It doesn't freaking matter. It's going. How much money they spend on this game? They're gonna make it all back in the first month.
Yeah, no, I
guarantee.
So shout out to T-Rock 40. I'm going in reverse order, by the way. I'm going to read every one of those super chats. I appreciate everybody. But T-Rock throws a quick jab at me. He says GTA could be 20 FPS and people are going to pay $100 for it. He goes, you COD fools should already know you'll buy anything. Yes, I mean you, Mooch. T-Rock, listen, I can't take this kind of blasphemy, okay? But he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. The COD fan base out there. Listen, we're buying Seth Rogen skins, so we don't have any defense. That being said, Slow-Mo, I think you made a strong point there saying that the majority of people, the masses of people that are playing GTA are not going to go into the store or look at the digital buy on their PS5 or Xbox and say, wait a minute, 30 FPS, I'm out. I do think, Slow-Mo, I will say this, and I think you're prepared for it. There's going to be an outrage in the community, though. I don't know if it's going to go over smoothly in our neck of the woods, right?
You're going to get a few. You're going to get a few people that are going to make a big deal about it, and they're going to be whining and tearing of clothes, gnashing of teeth as they put their money down about the game.
This is true.
So it doesn't matter.
Do you
nothing ever matters if you're going to pay for it. Nothing ever matters.
Wait, Nib, were you going to say?
Go ahead, Nib.
I was going to say, I don't know if that will be the case for GTA because there's a difference between a game not having a 60 mode and looking average or mediocre or not very spectacular. But there's a difference.
Like Gotham Knights.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone and their mother can see that this is ambitious beyond an unprecedented scale, right? Like the technology, the scope, the scale, the systems, it's just, it's as in literally the pinnacle of technology. With $1 billion. And by the way, it's the most expensive media product in history, as in more expensive than any movie, any show, anything. It's more expensive than anything we've ever had, as in a single product. So, I don't know. I don't think we are going to get the same complaints about it not having a 60 mode, at least on PS5 and Series X. Again, even Digital Foundry was saying they're not expecting a 60 mode on PS5 Pro.
I mean, this isn't Redfall. This is Grand Theft Auto.
Exactly.
People are going to go out. They're gonna buy it. Come on, everybody's buying it.
Yeah, and I was going to say,
hey, I feel sorry for the suckers that don't buy it. Right, you guys are the ones that are going to be like, "Fuck," the FOMO is going to get you. I'm
a huge advocate of 40 FPS. I think 40 FPS is king. Honestly, it's the perfect balance between
I agree.
performance and fidelity. I play all games at 40 that have the feature. I actively do not select 60 FPS. I prefer the 40 FPS mode because I get the benefits of the higher fidelity visuals, which are important for immersion and everything else. And I still get a seamless experience that is, and the jump between 30 to 40 is the same as the jump between 40 to 60, because the higher in frames you go, the more diminished in returns, the more diminished the impact. Like 60 to 120 is marginal. It is noticeable, yes, but it's relatively marginal in comparison to, say, 30 to 60, right? So 40 FPS from 30 is a huge difference in terms of how we perceive the game and the input.
It's the sweet spot. It's the ultimate
it's beautiful, bro. It is the sweet spot, and I'm a huge advocate of that.
It's funny you say that with the 40
console,
frames.
on console, right? I know you have a high-end rig.
Nib, what game though do you think though, real quick? What game do you think runs at 40 FPS that you've played, whether it be a balanced mode or whatever the case may be? But
I pretty much play everything on 40. So I'm playing Assassin's Creed Shadows on 40. The Spider-Man, Rift Apart, etc. Like all of that I played on 40. So yeah, I don't know. I just it's just again you get the extra ray tracing in the war and the crispness of the sort of image quality. Again on console, I know PC cats with their super high end rigs. The 1% of them that there are, they can push it out. But
Hello. How you doing? Yeah.
Oh, slow mo. Slow mo's entered the ring.
I do think that 60 to 120 is. That's a huge gap. And I think it's all about what you experience and what you're used to. Because I can when I go back to play a game on console that's exclusive to console for a time period, like a PlayStation single player game, right?
Yeah.
I'll play that on PlayStation and then I'll play it again on PC. But when I there's an adjustment period for me for like the first few hours when I play it, because it's like 60 is like the most I'm getting, whereas like 60 is the floor for me on PC. And usually when I'm playing at 60 on PC, it's 4K max settings. And it's a really, really demanding game that will drop my frame rate to 60 with a 4080 Super. But like otherwise, like everything is much higher.
Using the mouse does implicate that,
or your TV.
Well, both of y'all were talking. Which one? What?
It was like two English voices were asking a question. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Wooly. Ask your question. Go ahead, Wooly.
I was just going to say that a lot of that I think is to do with using a mouse, though, isn't it? Because you do really ideally need 120 when using a mouse because of the raw input. It is different to using analog controls such as a controller, a gamepad. You can get away with far lower, with relatively more input latency using a controller than using a mouse. You feel it, bro. Even GeForce Now Ultimate, I swear by that, right? GeForce Now Ultimate, it has input latency lower than playing on an Xbox Series X natively, right? And yet, it is still noticeable with a mouse, the input latency compared to native on a PC, because you really do need those high frames to maximize the effectiveness of using a mouse and keyboard. Whereas with consoles, 60 is, I think 40 is the floor because we don't require that immediate one-to-one input that reads with the movement of your hand. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense, but I don't think.
I'll say this though. I play 95% of the games on PC with a controller.
I was gonna say slow-mo plays with controller.
I play with mouse and keyboard. Is like a strategy RPG, like something where you can really get like the extra buttons is you can use for presets for certain things like that's and scanning through a massive map is faster with a mouse than trying to do that with a controller. Everything else I do would play with controller. Expedition 33 controller, shooters controller. Like I use a controller on PC 95% of the time. I got like 5 million controllers of third-party controllers that I use. I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm addicted to buying controllers. But no, I mean, like input latency and all that stuff is. I mean, like I have controllers that have 1,000 hertz polling rate. Like I don't really have those kind of problems whatsoever. Like it's you. When you get the right, I would say the right hardware, if you know what you're looking for, you can get what you need to get the kind of performance that you want.
But do you play on a monitor or on a TV?
I play on a monitor on PC.
Yeah,
I have a 4K 144 hertz monitor, LG monitor. Yeah.
So I will say this though, Nib, before you go down the 100 questions on that monitor, real quick, I do want to. Nib goes down a rabbit hole every time. People like, Mooch, how do your podcasts last 4.5 hours? Let me explain.
I can give you the specs later, Nib. I can give you the specs later.
Real quick, I wanted to ask a question to the great Wise Old Gamer has joined us as well. Wise, welcome to the show. First of all, Wise, listen, a lot of times you're advocating and always promoting the great Game Pass and Xbox. Quick question for you. And I believe you have a PS5 Pro. If I misspoke, please correct me. But are you going to be purchasing this game on PlayStation or on Xbox as far as Grand Theft Auto 6 is concerned? And then I want to talk about some of the visual enhancements I noticed in the second trailer.
So from what I saw on the screen, what they showed, it was running on base PS5.
That's right.
If those are the graphics for base PS5, sure as fuck I'm going to get that for the PS5 Pro. I'm sorry to say. I am not touching anything else besides that freaking PS5 Pro. I saw that's... they said that trailer was watched 467 million times or something like that, right? 1 million of those is me. I've masturbated to Lola so many times it's not even funny by now. So like oh my god, I gotta play that game. And then I want PS Pro enhanced Lola. I want that fat ass. I'm sorry. So yeah, of course I'm gonna get for the PS5 Pro.
You can always trust Wise to lower the tone, kind of.
Yeah, I want my booty in all of its DLSS glory. Okay?
That's right.
Put it that way.
That's right.
I want ray tracing, all of that, ray generation. I don't give a fuck. As long as it's good ass, that's what I want.
Is that the real reason PC gamers spend so much on their rigs for high definition ass and titties? Is that what you're saying?
I think that you're onto something there, Nib, right? That's what we're
we all
finding
know
out.
that already.
This is why I buy every limited edition DualSense, because I go through them so fast because they all get sticky.
He's out with you, dude. He's out with you. We need to see that.
I don't know them. I don't know. I don't play on PC for all that. Bro. I'm good.
No more with your Skyrim mods. We know it, bro. We know it.
Podcast with Noof Nukem, and that shit would be banned.
I was just gonna, you guys would only make it on YouTube for about a half an hour. Crap, I don't think him and Noof. Shout out to the great Noof Nukem, by the way. I reached out to him. He's like, boom, kaboom. He works on Thursday nights. Otherwise, he'd be in the room. Shout out to Noof. Hopefully, he checks out the show later on. All right, so what do you guys think about this? And then I want to move on to Gears. I do want to talk about that in detail. But guys, I will say this. They showed the clips side by side of the first trailer we kind of saw on this one. This was day and night. So at the end of the day, the delay, I'm a little upset here for a second because you had the executives coming out and saying holiday or end of 2025. We thought they had their finger on the pulse. Then you had Jason Schreier, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't have Jason's article up or what he said exactly, but he had talked to some people in the dev camps, and the dev teams at Rockstar were like, there's no way we were hitting the end of the 2025. That wasn't realistic at all. So, I mean, a little bit of what was that all about? Here's the thing, as a gamer, and as you guys on the panel right now, what do you guys think? You guys are upset because you're like, damn, I wanted to play that at the end of this year. But you know what? I'd really be pissed off if I was another dev team that had a game coming out and we've been cramming everything to get done by August, September, so we can get our game polished, ready out the door because we didn't want to go head to head with this juggernaut, right? And now they're not there. And it seems like the whole end of the year is kind of opened up a little bit now that they're not there. I mean, August is absolutely smothered. You got Lost Soul Aside. You got Mafia. Then you've got Borderlands comes out first week or so in September. I mean, I know when I say Marathon, everybody kind of laughs and chuckles. They're like, oh, who cares about Marathon? But I still think Marathon's going to get a decent number of people to check it out. It still pulls some gamers away from other games. I mean, it's just a lot in that August timeframe now between August 15th and September 15th. And I think they crammed all that because they were scared of the big bad wolf, which was going to be GTA 6, and now it's not there. Do you guys think that plays any kind of an impact on how pissed off other developers are? Of course, we'll never hear them say that because, it's kind of kumbaya online.
Well, if anything, I think it gives them a sigh of relief because now the pressure isn't there to kind of make an unrealistic deadline. Like if you are doing a string crunch to make it by September or August, and then you find out GTA 6 isn't coming out until next year, if you have to delay the game a month or two in order to make sure that it's more optimized and more polished, I mean, you're not running into a juggernaut if you do that. So it kind of gives you a little bit of leeway, just a little bit, or maybe even to delay it to the Q1 of 2026 if you have to. But, there's only so far you can go, of course, right? Because, May isn't that far away, even though I don't think it's going to make the May release. I think it'll probably get delayed to late 2026.
That's what Delta. So Delta 169 agrees with you, Slow Mo. He also says, Mooch, you forgot Gears of War and Metal Gear Solid 3 launching in August. I mean, come on. Listen, I mean, that's honestly, I got to be honest with you, a bit of me, you might sit there and go, this is awesome. What a great time to be a gamer. Yes, that's all true. But that's a lot of games to come out in 4 to 6 weeks. And I mean, you hear people that are enjoying games that are like Expedition 33, taking anywhere from 25 to 35 hours. And I don't even know if that's 100% completing it. That may be getting through a good amount of it. But I mean, Slomo, you said you're on 33 to 35 hours and you're going to go back and final,
no.
right?
I'm much further than that.
How far along are you?
I beat the game and I cleared all the content. That took me about 90 hours to do.
Okay, so there you go. So I mean, you only padded my stats. I was off, but so shout out to CDub813, who I already know Slow-Mo went back and forth with. Thank you for the $20 super chat, buddy. Super chat's working, guys. It's a miracle. Help Mooch out. He says, word is Slow-Mo used a cheat engine to beat Simon. Just kidding. He goes, Expedition 33 is a good game, but people got to stop acting like it's the second coming. He goes, rolled credits last night at 25 hours, 8.5 out of 10. So that's still an outstanding score. So thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that.
25 hours is he mainlined everything and he doesn't remember anything that happened.
All right. So
shout out to C-Dub, though. Shout out to
C-Dub.
I'm sorry to say. If you can beat an RPG of any kind in 25 hours, you're not doing it right.
Well, there you go. Well, C-Dub, there you go from the Wise Old Gamer. You guys will go back and forth for about 5 minutes now in the chat. Let me do this real quick. Let me ask Nib, any of you guys, anyone on the panel, Death Singer, I want to go to you because I got to hear your take on this. What is Death Singer doing? The whole world is waiting right now. I mean, everybody in the world is glued to this podcast right now, waiting for this answer. Death Singer, are you going to buy this game on PS5 or are you waiting possibly 12 to 18 months to play it on your PC?
I'm going to be 100%. I've always said it. If there's not 60 FPS option, there is so much that I can play that like it's not really going to be a miss for me. So it's kind of it's on the performance of what it's going to be, because having played it's like I don't know, it's on if the 60 FPS mode now. Granted, what Digital Foundry said, that's why I made the tweet I did, and you said believe.
Yes, have faith.
I'm trying to believe. I'm trying to have faith, but Rockstar's track record on console is 30, and all their games, they always push the envelope of what's possible with graphics. What they're saying, for what they were saying, where all the lighting in the game is handled by ray trace global illumination, all of it. There's no normal lighting in the game. I'm like. You know how old the CPU is in those consoles, right? And you're asking it to do all this extra shit. I'm just kind of sat there. My heart sank. I was like, 60 FPS ain't gonna happen, is it? I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Hey, Singer, quick question. I don't know if you know the answer to this or not. Indiana Jones on consoles, did that? Because I know on PC, it had ray trace GI as well, and it wasn't something you can turn off. Is that the same in consoles? Because I don't know if I'm really legit asking.
I don't know, because I didn't play it on console, and I didn't see Digital Foundry's video about it. But even if it is, that game's pretty linear, so it would get like
True, it's not an open world environment. True.
Right.
You'll pull it off with that, but. Like, you look at the size of GTA 6, the world, and it's going to be all open world, and they were saying they've got all ray-traced reflections everywhere. All of the hair physics. Like, people don't understand really good hair physics. Anyone remember Witcher 3? Hair physics tanked
spaghetti physics. They weren't good. They were spaghetti.
Dragon Age Velgard takes 6 milliseconds just on the hair. On one person.
Exactly, right? So, and they're saying all this.
The game had great hair.
It did have great hair.
Claire Obscure has great hair. Claire Obscure has awesome hair.
I'm going to say GTA has all these extra shit, and from everything they're saying, I just can't see a 60 FPS mode. Like, I just can't see how can that CPU do it? I just can't see it. Now, Rockstar could be magicians. They could go, we have you a 60 FPS mode. It's going to be 900p. Okay, I'll still play it. Whatever, you got me. But like, I don't see like a great. If they have a 60 mode, that resolution is going to be, yeah.
So Blessed Red,
it is what it is.
Blessed Red says. Well, here's what. Hold on, I'll let that singer answer that. Nib says, "What about 40 FPS mode?" Blessed Red says, "GTA 6 will be 30 FPS on console, 40 FPS best case scenario." Rockstar always push their games to the max, and they want to double dip for next gen. So, the last part of Blessed Red's super chat. By the way, thank you for that, Blessed Red. I will say I do agree with one thing. So they do like the double dip, and they did that right with the $10. Was it a $10 upgrade for the GTA 5 to hit 60 frames? And look as lovely as it does now, so. Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so
it was like at the beginning of the gen, right?
Yes,
they did yeah, I think so.
So there's a chance there.
I do have to run Mooch. I gotta get up out of here. But
great to have you,
as always. And I'm glad to be invited once again. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, Singer.
Always a pleasure.
Leave that body pillow alone, sir. I hope you guys the rest of your night.
Fix your knees, my guy.
Slow-mo.
Here we go.
He had to drop a bomb just before he left. Slow-mo, thanks for being here, buddy. You guys go over and check out DPS tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Slow-mo.
Peace out, man.
Peace out, buddy. So, the only thing I would say that someone I don't know if it was a super chat or someone had mentioned it earlier. They said, Mooch, how can we sit here and think that the PS5 Pro is going to be at 30 frames? When we're all but certain that the Series S will be at 30 frames, right? So, I mean, there is a point to be made there. 40 FPS might be that sweet spot that Nib was talking about. That Singer, what Nib's question for you that I didn't mean to interrupt him, but it was a very good question is, what if you're seeing 40 FPS or an unlocked feature?
I wouldn't see unlocked. Oh, that's probably good. That's going to be horrible.
Right.
If anything, they should. If you're going to provide a 40, probably. I would imagine if they did provide a 40, that'd be on the Pro, and not on the base PS5.
That's fair.
Potentially, because it's got a bit beefier GPU, and they could use PSSR to help out, but. The CPU is still the same exact in the Pro and in the base PS5, so I just don't see it. Like, if they do a 60, I will be absolutely amazed, and Rockstar will single-handedly be the best. Not one of the best developer alive.
So I'll ask this.
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Echo. What do you got, buddy?
So I do have a question. Are we kind of talking about 60 FPS right from the get-go on console? Because the way I'm thinking, like, let's say, 60 FPS doesn't come right, day one. I'm thinking long term. We have to assume also that GTA 6 is going to be another decade-long game, possibly even longer. So I'm just trying to think about like all the games within this generation that started off with lower resolution, lower FPS, that got enhancements throughout the generation that made that game, the original game just substantially better. So maybe not 60 FPS right off the rip. I personally think I'm could be wrong, but I think it will come out. Especially since they have another year. But let's say that it doesn't come out, day one. They still have, again, I'm just thinking long term, another 10 years to make enhancements to it because they're going to be banking on their online, to keep that game running, obviously, like they did with GTA 5. And so I just, even with, like you said, Dessinger, with their CPU, PlayStation 5, Pro and PlayStation 5. And now I'm thinking, like, again, PlayStation 6 and, possibly PlayStation 7.
Here's the problem with that. You see, if I'm gonna wait for that, I'll just wait for the PC version at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm talking strictly console. Like, if the question is day one, if it's not coming day one, fine. I could easily see it still coming out regardless within the, either that generation with updates or even the next generation. I think by the time that game is dead, GTA, when GTA 7 comes out, it would easily have at least a 60 FPS.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For console. For console, it's gonna happen. Like, the thing is, it's like, if they're gonna have it down the road, I may as well just wait for PC at that point. But if they have it, if they have it out the gate, that's what I'd buy the console for, because it's like, okay, you have it out the gate. If I'm gonna have to wait for that, I may as well just wait anyway, because I'm waiting either way.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of what you guys are saying. I really am, because I do think you do have to take the history always plays a role here, right? What we know that they can do. So shout out to Blessed Red again here. He says Rockstar's last new game that was 60 FPS was Table Tennis. He goes LOL, but he goes, people always think just because it'll run on an Xbox Series S means it'll run 60 FPS on a Pro. CPU bound, duh. Blessed, the only thing I got to say, and don't get me wrong, again, I think history's on your side here, and typically that's where I tend to favor, so I do hear you, and James makes a good point. Echo makes a great point in the fact that he says, you know, listen, this console is going to be out for a while. They could still make enhancements to it. There is PSSR. I would think if they're going to wait till May, and some people in the chat are saying they're going to delay it till the end of 2026, I think that Sony working with them, they'll get PSSR going. I have to say one thing, Blessed. As much as you're saying, wait a minute, it's the CPU, come on, let's use our heads, let's not compare it to the S. That's fine. But we are in an era where the mindset is changing for the customer. Okay, we sit here and we always say, oh, you know, casuals don't know. They may not read the fine print and say, oh, 30 FPS versus 60 FPS, I'm not buying it. They may not say that or read the fine print, but they've come to accustomed to playing games at 60 FPS, or at least having a 60 FPS option. That's something the customer has become accustomed to. Shout out to KI Gaming right here. He says Assassin's Creed Shadows is 60 with RTGI, only on Pro, which is open world. You guys have to understand, if you're the history thing that Blessed is talking about, Echo brought up, and Deathsinger kind of reinforced. I'm not disagreeing with any of them, but we have become accustomed now that when a game comes home, you buy a game digitally or physically. When you put that in the machine, you know that you're going to have a quality mode and a performance mode. Maybe sometimes you'll even have a balanced, and that may be the question mark here. And I don't know. I'm not as sold on 40 FPS as Nib is. And maybe Wooly. I think this has got to be, they would dumb it down 1440p, maybe less, maybe 1200p.
It'd have to be less. It
would have to be less. Okay, that's fine. I'll ride with you there, Deathsinger. I'm not even saying you're wrong on that. They'll dumb down the resolution. They'll bring things, let's say instead of from, you know how the way PC gauges things from low to ultra, this will probably be somewhere between medium and high settings, and it'll look pretty damn good, man. It'll look pretty damn good. They want that 60. If you want the 4K and all the dazzle, then you play it on quality. Go ahead, Echo.
And I'll end with one last thing, and we can move on. You know, whatever you want to do here. I also want to keep in mind too is that there's going to be other within. You know, if we're talking CPU bound,
Echo, you're other technology. You're cutting in and out.
Botting?
Yeah, you're botting.
Oh,
That happens. I don't know if you're using the voiceover. The voiceover software that Brap uses that, and a lot of times that happened to Brap. He had to leave and come back in. So I don't know. It does that sometimes.
Okay. I was going to just say real quick, also other technologies like AI. And so AI is going to help a lot with, CPU bound cases as well to make things run smoother. So, I mean, keep in mind that AI is increasing as far as its capabilities as well. And that's going to influence gaming a lot.
Agreed. And that's kind of where I'm at with the PSSR kind of talk right there. Does anybody have any
bragging rights too?
Go ahead,
right?
Wise.
Like the developer, okay, what you were saying to piggyback off of that, Mooch, was this: Rockstar, well, the old Rockstar, back in the day with Dan Houser and all of them, they used to find pride in what they used to release with GTA 3 and San Andreas. They used to shit on all of the open world games at the time. I mean, they loved showing what they can do as developers. So there's a little bit of bragging rights. So now when the average developer is making 2 runs of a game, both one quality mode and one performance mode, for Rockstar to even offer a game that has only one mode of 30 FPS, it seems like it would be a miss for Rockstar as a developer.
Well,
so I think just for bragging rights alone, they're going to do it.
But the thing is, modern Rockstar, like GTA came out at 30. Red Dead Redemption 2, does it even have a 60 on console at this point? Or is it still stuck at 30, Red Dead Redemption 2? They released that at 30. It's because they will always push the visual details. And the performance you can solve down the line. So... I mean, you just look at the trailer, right? That's what they want to sell you. That right there. They probably, 30 will do because people are going to buy it because guess what? It's a GTA and the game looks absolutely spectacular. All the ray trace reflections and shadows. Oh, wait, no, they don't have shadows. but like everything they're doing in the game is maximum visual, and unfortunately, even on PCs, when you turn all the bells and whistles on, that frame rate starts to tank because it is struggling. So, and the consoles, you can't upgrade them. You can't like take parts out and go.
What you're saying is they're not even going to give you an option for 60 FPS.
They probably wouldn't, because it's going to sell regardless. Like, if you're going to sell billions of copies, why are you going to care? And like, it's GTA. So plus the way all the visuals and everything, like you have to make a compromise. And if what they're saying is true, where everything in the game is all the lighting is global illumination, that's a lot of tax. So I mean, we're just gonna have to see. I mean, they could surprise everyone with a 60 FPS mode, but I highly doubt it.
Listen, listen, technologically, they're probably fighting a lot of demons over there at Rockstar to make sure this happens. They are. But the thing I will say is, and I was just telling this to Blessed Red, because Blessed Red said something. Let me just read it to you guys real quick. He wrote me in the super chat, or not super chat, pardon me. He says, Mooch, you think Rockstar cares about what you expect? Red, I'm not saying it's about me. This isn't about me. The thing is if you go to lunch every day, okay, and you have a cafeteria at your workplace, and all of a sudden, every day with your sandwich, they start giving you a bag of chips as an option. You can have a bag of chips or an apple, right? And it's like, you might say, I don't want the bag of chips or the apple. Point of the matter is after about 2 years, 3 years, now we're 5 years in, they take away the option, and I'll go, Blessed Red, you never got the chips or the apple, dude. It wasn't you never got that. You go, but Mooch, they offered it. Okay? They offered it. We are 5 years into it. Well, we're 5 years. What game has come out at 30 FPS this generation in the last 2-3 years?
Redfall.
That's it. Boy, talk about
Hellblade 2.
Talk about helping my case. You know what I mean? Like that's not acceptable, right? Those games they got.
But also, GTA is now a pillar because of GTA Online. Like my kids are playing GTA Online right now, and they're playing it on PC at 60 FPS. Now, Rockstar made the decision of releasing GTA 6 strictly on consoles. So all these kids who are now that's the only GTA they knew is GTA Online. I mean, they've heard of the games, but I think that the only one that they really played is GTA Online. If you're going to take that kid from a 60 FPS game and then you're going to move them to a console that's 30 FPS, they're going to know the difference and they're going to walk away and go back to GTA Online. So I think they're going to have to put a 60 FPS
no way,
some
dude.
kind.
They can't.
And everything.
They can't.
I'll say this. I wouldn't be surprised if GTA 6, even at 30, has a similar input latency, or even better than GTA 5 at 60, because that game has really poor input latency. And these days, there's ways around it. Like, there's a lot of 30 frames per second games on console that actually have lower input latency than 60 frames per second games. Like, for example, Drive Club and Forza Horizon. There's this website called Display Lag that does like testing of input latency. Those two games actually have lower input latency than like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 5. So you can do stuff in the background to kind of not necessarily have exactly correlated input with visuals. But I was going to say, like, I honestly think, because with like Mooch's analogy, it's like them taking away the apple, but then giving you like the most incredible gourmet crisps that you've ever had. So it's like, you're not going to be like, yo, bro, I don't want my gourmet Gordon Ramsay made crisps. I want my apple. You're going to be like, okay.
And you'll get used to it. You will. Like Rockstar.
I don't know. This generation, I think this generation, with the intelligence that some of these kids have, I think they'd prefer the Apple.
Mark Cerny said in his presentation, PS5 Pro presentation, that a third of gamers, or whatever it was, choose 30 by choice. They literally choose 30 when they have the option of 60. So I don't think it's as big of a deal, and I understand that the Switch hardware is different and stuff, and the expectations are different, but did that stop Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom from amassing critical acclaim from users and
24 FPS?
Whoa.
Yeah,
you can. Okay, Breath of the Wild is
It's a very good point.
It's freaking apps. There's nothing there. You walk miles and miles and you'll see one guy or something like that.
Look what it's
Hopefully
running on,
GTA is
bro.
not like
Look
that.
what it's running on. Come on, use your noggin here, bro.
Let's not diminish the technical accomplishment of that game. With both the open world Zelda.
The fact that they got that thing running on a potato is amazing. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Don't you feel the same way about GTA 6? When you see that, do you really think, to me, it's like even Digital Foundry were like, they didn't even believe that the gameplay visuals might match up. They thought it's a cutscene thing. They expected like a potential downscale on the gameplay, and then Rockstar came out and said actually half of it was gameplay. We just re-edited the camera. So it's like I feel that way about GTA, and I'm sure when people play it, there's going to be a lot of how did they get this shit running on this system?
But they're showing you a trailer. They're showing you an ad. So this is marketing. They got to put their best foot forward. So what makes a bigger impact? A faster FPS or visual splendor on a TV screen?
Visual splendor.
Right. So of course, if you're trying to sell the game, you're going to make it. You're going to show it in its best possible light.
We got to remember, right? This is Rockstar, and every time they've released a game, it's always released at 30 FPS, right? It has Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5. They all released at 30 FPS, and usually, right? This is my take, Mooch. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If a game is first person or has a low FOV, you need a higher frame rate, right, to counteract motion sickness, to make it just more bearable to play. A game like Deus Ex Mankind Divided is awful to play. Prey is awful to play because it's first person, low FOV, and 30 FPS, right?
Yeah.
But a game like Gotham Knights, it's actually quite perfectly fine to play at 30 because the FOV is a lot higher. It's third person. It's camera zoomed out. It's a lot more manageable, right? It's a lot less impactful than a first-person game, right, or a low FOV game. So Rockstar, if they are packing as much as they possibly can into this world that requires CPU, allocation to focus on, then 60 FPS is not going to be the priority. It is not. I could imagine it being a pitch for the PS5 Pro.
Yeah,
where it's like, well, the PS5 Pro, we have a 40 mode. It's a noticeable improvement in frame rate with the same visual fidelity at a slightly higher resolution. Like, it's a no-brainer. But because it's CPU heavy, CPU taxing, think of all the NPCs, think of the physics. They even had to dumb down the physics for GTA 5 to factor in, GTA Online because they wanted it to be more ambitious. GTA 4 had the Euphoria engine, and that was, there was so much going on with the car physics, with NPC physics. It's like, well, they're really ambitious guys. Rockstar, they are the rock stars of the gaming industry. They are, and I do think that if 30 FPS is the target, that would be perfectly.
Can we keep saying they're the rock stars of the industry and they launch at 30 FPS? I'm just saying, and without an option.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Because just look at the game, and then look at your peers in the industry and go, have at it, beat that. I guarantee you, most people I give up. They were already waving the white flag because you can't do what Rockstar do.
Hellblade 2, Mooch. What were they all saying about Hellblade 2? That this is incredible. This is benchmark setting. This is
that was one hardcore group, but I mean not many others. My point though,
all the critics were praising it.
No, but even with GTA 3, do y'all remember when GTA 3 first came out? The reason it was such a monumental success was it was the details. The devil was in the details. Those cars obeyed traffic laws. Those people had.
That's a good point.
That they were doing.
There's probably Wise. I want to just emphasize what you're saying here to the audience. But there are other aspects of the game beyond 60 FPS. I think I've been hanging out with Death Singer too long. Death Singer's got me thinking 60 FPS or bust. I think maybe that's a good point. But at the same time, I do want to reiterate that I think that Wise, where we are in the generation right now, and as we move forward, and the whole push for the Pro was supposed to be PSSR giving us better performance by taking some of the pressures off of the hardware, right, and being able to use software, AI, things of that nature. I thought that was the case of PSSR, and I don't pretend to be an expert on it.
But
would think that
PSSR is also CPU bound as well, isn't it? So, like, if you have a game that's CPU bound, you can only get
you can only go so exactly. So Blessed Red came back with a super chat here, and he says Rockstar pushes their games to the limit. You cannot push the game to the limit and still offer the same game at half the frame rates. With the same stuff, and I do understand. And by the way, I want to give credit where credit's due. JC 2013 was the one who mentioned Mooch. Hey, if the S can do 30, should we expect the PS5 Pro to do 60? Of course, we went back and forth with that already. And shout out to Slow Mo Backstop. He says, hit that like button or you're a fraud. There you go. I appreciate the great Slow Mo Backstop hanging out with us as well. Crap, let me ask you a question, Crap, because we had different opinions as we kind of went from the last generation to this generation. But then you've kind of made a strong stance, and I'm not going to put your stance out there. I want you to say it. When you hear something, you have a PS5 Pro, Crap. What's your expectation, and where would you be a little bit disappointed if the game only? But using Wise's words here, if they gave you so much more in other categories, but didn't give you 60 frames, and the game's just still amazing, you still okay with that, or are you kind of looking for a little bit of better performance since you put all this money out of pocket? Did we lose Crap? That was a great question, by the way. I just want everyone to document that. That was a fantastic question.
It was a really great question.
Thank you. But go ahead, Death. You want to take it away? Because, I mean, honestly, you're the other side of the coin.
The thing is, hopes and dreams don't pay for technical limitations. Like, everything, you are designing the game for a specific box and a specific set of rules and hardware, right? So you are now stuck with the limitations of what you're working with. So the PS5, that's what I'm working with, right? So I can do the best I can with what I got, but there's no upgrade or anything. So they'll push the graphics to the limits and slam all this technology in. Like some people out there say we still haven't seen the game that is worthy of this generation. This will be the game that will showcase what this generation's about. But at the end of the day, all of that cost. It is a cost. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can either have the cake, or you could just eat. Like, you can't have both. So what they're going for is, we'll give you the cake, because everyone wants to buy the cake, because a really fancy cake, all the decorated, all the icing and everything, super all fancy. Like, oh, beautiful. Put it in the window, everyone's going to come in for it. Cool. So that's what it's going to be. Like, they made a fantastic looking game, and you're just going to have to deal with the fact that it'll be 30 FPS, more than likely.
You know what's scary, Mooch?
What do you got?
I just said in the chat, you can't have the cake and eat it, and then Death Singer said immediately after, you can't have the cake and eat it. It's almost like we're agreeing with each other here, which is scary to me, right?
It is, it really is.
I just thought I'd say that before we segue into the better game, the more superior game, the game of the entire decade.
Oh, here it comes.
Be better than Grand Theft Auto, which is Death Stranding 2.
Well, believe me, Willie, if I say we are going to get into Death Stranding 2 today, and I know that once I do that, all other topics are mute at that point. I got a couple super chats here real quick, and then we're going to get to our next subject here. I want to get to a shout out to Impatient Fire. He says it will have 60 FPS mode. Rockstar aims for excellence. When GTA 5 launched, 30 FPS was the norm. 60 FPS is the new norm, and they will bet with this on this time. Impatient, I kind of agreed a little bit with you here that the whole emphasis from going back to the Greenberg tweets of 60 FPS is the new standard to what PlayStation's offered and promised with the PSSR and what the PS5 Pro can do. There are different expectations. Blessed Red is definitely coming out with some great rebuttals saying, listen, you can go ahead and have your expectations in one hand and you know what in the other. If the hardware can't handle it, it can't handle it. And that's a fact. So I'm not sitting here on a grandstand. I'm not telling you that the Pro is going to be 60 FPS. I'm saying I bet there's a large number of customers out there, whether you're anywhere in that range of casual to hardcore, that went out and spent a lot of money this generation, and you're at a point where now we're at the tipping point. We're on the second half of the generation, right? If we're going by an 8-year scale, and I think people have come to expect, like you said, with Assassin's Creed Shadows and other things, like like legit, that people would want to have a 60 frame option. Shout out to Impatient. He's back. He says, I've bet my money that GTA 6 will have 60 FPS on Pro. Easy, Impatient Fire. Don't bet yet. He says Digital Foundry thought Spider-Man Remastered would be 30 FPS. He says, again, GTA 5 launched on PS5 with performance modes. Yes, but all you're saying there, Impatient, is what Echo was saying earlier, and Blessed, is that it could come down the pipeline. They like to make money. They may double dip. Shout out to the great Mash. Mash, welcome home, by the way, buddy. Great to have you back. I know you have a work schedule on Thursday, but thank you for the gifted memberships to the channel. Please, guys, hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button, as Mash has already prescribed. Echo, are you back? I want to check your sound here to make sure you're all right.
Yeah, does it sound okay?
Yep, you're back. Okay, that happens sometimes with that software. I know that because Brap uses it too, and it happens every once and again. So I forgot to mention that to you.
Change the output and input.
Perfect. Yeah. So does anybody else want to talk on GTA? I do want to get into Gears. Hopefully, Crap's back because
if that game costs $100 as rumored, that shit better be running at 60 FPS.
No,
game comes out base model $100.
Nope, they're gonna give it to you for 100, and you'll still sell the billions. Because it is no, they don't have to, because look at what GTA 5 did, right? Now people have expectations and they're excited for the next game. Like, look at the trailer. Look how many views that got. Like, that is complete bullshit. Show me another company that could do what just happened with that GTA trailer. You won't be able to find it, because people even outside the gaming would play GTA. Like, the most casual will play the game. So obviously it doesn't matter. They'll be like, here's 100, here's 30 FPS, and we'll make our money back by the end of the month.
The thing is as well, like, this whole 60 conversation, right? When we say like, it's become the new norm, but a lot of people have complained that they don't feel this gen has been as much of a jump, or as enough of a jump. And I do think one of the reasons for that is the 60 frames thing, right? But are we really going to prioritize slightly smoother, or much smoother, whatever you want to call it? I'm not too fussed personally about 60 frames, but are we really going to prioritize that over, say, having much more advanced AI, physics, systems, gameplay, having crocodile AI in the swamps and whole traffic systems, and all this other stuff that makes these games amazing and compelling? Because the thing with like Red Dead and GTA is the emergent gameplay. It's the fact that you can go out into the world and just see some random ass crazy shit, and even little things like. Even like the AI systems in Red Dead, right? Like, they literally go to the bar and they go to work and they'll chop wood and they'll have a whole subsystem. They'll go to a house and go to sleep with a partner. All the stuff is happening in the background systems, and that's like the level of detail. All the granular muscle physics on the horse. I know maybe that stuff is not necessary, but that's the attention of detail we're talking about with these games. And one of the things that does make them so entertaining, right? Because there's just myriad things that can happen and so much going on. And I don't think like we should be prioritizing smoother, gameplay over having this depth of systems, because most developers cannot invest the budget and the money to even do these systems. So I say go ham. Like, forget the fucking frame rate smoothness. If we get it, awesome. But I would much rather a more ambitious game with systems and world scope that I've never seen before.
So I think that will always be contextual. I think that's always going to be depending upon the game and the user. So, like, for example, in a situation like GTA, maybe not so much. I'm a huge Warzone guy, which people will find out soon. That Warzone is my jam. I'm a huge guy in Call of Duty. I've been playing it for years, and Warzone, it has been everything that I've been playing for a long time. And if that situation was happening with Warzone, I would be livid, because I'm all about FPS in something like that. So like I wouldn't care about, a guy chopping wood in this situation. I wouldn't be cared about there's two squirrels chasing each other for a nut. Like I wouldn't care, because I need the highest FPS possible for my gameplay. So if that situation was happening with in Warzone, like for me, that would be terrible. But again, like
the
you
gameplay
said,
loop is different in Warzone than it is in GTA.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Warzone's competitive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I said I think it's always going to be contextual. And capabilities, like you said, of a studio and stuff like that. And I think Claire Obscure, I'm just bringing Claire into it, because we were talking about before, is a perfect example of how you don't need super high frame rates for it to be for something creative and beautiful to happen. Because I've never heard of that studio until now. And so for this curveball of a game to come out to show like, hey, you don't have to have incredible frame rate, again, 240 hertz frames or anything like that to have something really substantially good.
Well, also it's turn-based, right? And turn-based, you don't require high FPS, right? Because it's literally you take turns. It's like having like 500 FPS in, let's say you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
I strongly disagree with that.
500 FPS in thing is turn-based. It's like when you like
yeah, but
playing
it's not
Civil.
turn-based, really. It's like action turn.
Yeah, it's action, but you take turns. It's not like a full.
Yeah,
it's not like
to do those
It's turn
timings,
action. Get it right, guys. For goodness sake.
action, yeah,
There it is. Turn action. Yes.
I've had fights where I've done like, I'm not even exaggerating, like 40 odd parries in a single fight, like perfectly timed. So I wouldn't say that. I actually think it's more demanding in input than some real-time games. Like genuinely, I do mean that, because the some of the timing windows are so shallow, especially with the like advanced like enemies and side bosses and stuff, like really, really shallow timings. So I don't know. Like I think like again, I didn't have an issue with it. I actually
see the thing is, I liken it to like, let's take a typical turn-based game. Let's take Persona 5, right? Having 200 FPS in Persona 5 does nothing for you. Like there is no.
Yeah, I agree with that, but Expedition is not like that.
Expedition isn't like that, but it's still turn-based, and yeah, there's parrying and stuff. But that's latency and input from the person more so than because you actually have to, see.
Yeah, but one of the biggest benefits of a higher frame rate is the lower input latency.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't need mega frame rate for that kind of game. Like, you don't need to be running Expedition 33 at 200 FPS. Like, you don't need that. Now, if I'm playing...
You don't. I run it in 30 frames, so you don't actually even need 60, because I literally done everything in the game.
Right. Right there is my point. Whereas, like, to Echo's point, if I'm playing Valorant, I want 200 FPS. I want 300 FPS. Because I need that. Like, if I'm playing it at 30, I'm going to get dumpstered all over the place. I'm going to get bodied so hard, I'll end up rage quitting. Like, you just won't be able to do anything.
Right.
So, like, that's the difference between the two. So, GTA, I could see it being at 30 and it'll be perfectly fine, because most people will be playing the single player, and yeah, people will go on GTA Online, but everyone will be at 30, so, there's no competitive advantage anywhere across the board, so, and they want to push the visuals, so I don't know. It's okay for that game to be there.
I don't know if Brian East, thank you for the super chat. I'm not sure if this holds water. I'm pretty sure someone will contradict it here. He says, probably should be mentioned that Rockstar released 60 FPS gameplay footage on their website. I'd be very, very surprised if they don't support it in-game. I'm not sure what we're seeing.
That's footage. That's footage. That's that's the thing. Like that's just a trailer. Like you could make a trailer at 60. Like for example,
come on. If it's at 60, it's 60.
No, but it's how is that capping? It's a YouTube trailer. It's not the game.
No, you don't get gameplay rendered at 60 if the game's not being played at 60. You don't render 30 FPS gameplay.
Remember, Depsinger, this was captured on PS5. This is real
yes,
time.
It was captured. Yes, and they made that claim. But then, counter to the
they're
point,
not lying. Yeah.
People who looked at it, it's like Digital Foundry's erring on the side of it's going to be 30 because of what's in the game. So it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, most tech people that I watch on YouTube, they're like, yeah, it's 30 is more than likely because of all the shit you're doing in the game.
I think generally we use Digital Foundry, and they've been pretty good as of late, but they've got a couple of things on their scorecard that they got wrong. And when it comes to PSSR, they don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes yet, and I don't know if necessarily. Listen, I don't blame them. If we were all part of that team, they're taking history of what Rockstar has done in the past. what the current capabilities are on the CPU front, right, and what's in the box. And then there's a couple of variables they don't know. So their prediction is that 60 FPS may be very challenging, which I think from Digital Foundry's standpoint, that's a good standpoint. I mean, they're not going to come out there and speak like, I fanboy out and I really want it to be that. They're going to tell you their opinion on it from a technical know-how. That's a safe bet going forward with them. They would be more than happy to be wrong in the case where PSSR or something that they're able to do. Again, I do think that's with the Pro model. I don't think base is going to have all those options. I think it would be the Pro model. And I think that's one of the strong reasons Sony did push forward with having a Pro this generation. And Xbox didn't. Shout out to Mash. He says, remember to hit that like button and sub. I appreciate that, Mash. Thank you for the gifted memberships. Impatient Fires back. He says, I'm betting the Pro exists specifically to run GTA 6 at 60 FPS. You can't tell me Cerny didn't talk to Rockstar. I believe in Cerny. LOL. Again, listen, some of this is just, gut feeling emotion. A lot of it, too, is that, it was $700. Nib, we talked about this on the show, Nib. Like $700 for the PS5 Pro. And then, the biggest game of the generation, seemingly in GTA 6. And, they're like, listen, we're Rockstar. We do 30 FPS. And it's like, I don't know if they're pairing up with play. I don't know. The whole thing just seems a little bit off. Blessed Red says, Mooch, why do you keep mentioning PSSR? FSR1 is lighter upscale to run, much lighter, and the game was running at 1152p at 30 FPS on a PS5. Yeah, but the PS5 has nothing to do with PSSR either, Blessed Red.
Yeah,
so you can't make
PSSR is exclusive to the Pro, Blessed.
Yeah, just two quick things about that, though. One, 1152 or whatever, that's removing black bars. So the actual game is not going to run with black bars. Like, maybe cutscenes they might not even have it in the cutscenes in the game, but like the actual resolution of the game when you add the pixels from the missing black bars is going to be higher than that. Digital Foundry's count was just deducting the black bars. And two, he is right, like FSR is lighter in milliseconds to run, but obviously the actual results are not as good, because even like DLSS transformer, like it's much more computationally heavy to run than DLSS CNN, but it just offers much better results. So PSSR is basically a similar thing, right? And lest we forget, Sony did say in next year, they're going to bring in the FSR4 update. So maybe by the time GTA 6 actually releases, it will be PSSR with the FSR4 model,
right,
instead of what we have today. So it could be, quite a game changer. We'll see.
Let's remember, it's got another year in the oven, guys.
Say again?
It's got another year in the oven. Let's remember that. I agreed with most of what Digital Foundry said, except there was one thing Alex said which wasn't true, that this is the best the games, basically, we're going to see the game in this trailer because it's cutscene heavy. And with cutscenes, we all know they use that tactic where with a lower FOV, with all off-screen assets no longer being rendered in the render, they can concentrate, for facial animations and facial details and stuff to enhance the cutscenes, right? And that's what they're doing that's what they will be doing inevitably with GTA, like they do with every single game on Earth. The Last of Us, Ellie's face is a lot lower detail in gameplay and in an in-game cutscene because they concentrate all the power on Ellie's face during a cutscene, right?
Mm-hmm.
So though that's true, I don't agree that it's the best we're going to see it because it's got another year in the oven. And another year is a hell of a long time, at least another year. So
I also have to bring up in the chat, these people coming at me. It's like you probably haven't seen native 4K in your life because half the time games running on the console, they tell you it's 4K, it's native. No, you get none of that bullshit. You're getting like medium settings, high settings if you're lucky, and you'll get a 60 FPS mode, which is like look at Rebirth. People who actually played it, shout out to Slow-Mo, etc., blurry ass shit, that performance mode on the PS5 when Rebirth came out. And it's
nobody said that was native 4K.
No, but people are going, but it's the PS5 Pro, and Cerny said, and yes, these are all things. Yes, you own the console, yes, but also, at the end of the day, there are technical limitations. Like, I suffer from technical limitations. Like, I can't game at native 4. Well, I couldn't game at native 4K, but I wouldn't get the frame rates I wanted, so I'm not going to bother. That's a limitation because I don't have like a 4090 or 5090. So that's just something I live with, right? So, but your console also has technical limitations. That it doesn't matter how good you are, how amazing you are, you still are stuck with what's in the box, and nothing on earth will change what is in those consoles. That's it. That's technical limitations exist, people. You know.
Well, let's do this, guys. Honestly, I love the conversation. This was a phenomenal.
Limitations exist. I will agree with that. But we've seen time and time again where they thought something was the best they could do, and then they come back and squeeze something more out of it. I've seen that happen numerous times.
That's what I was.
With the console.
That's what I was going to you for before, Crap. I wanted to ask you. You're one of the big advocates of saying, "Listen, I put this money out of pocket, right? And so now you have a PS5 Pro. Is it a bit? Would it be a little disheartening if it was a 30 FPS game, or not really? That doesn't really affect it.
Well, I think
shine in other areas.
I think that I wouldn't be disappointed, right? Because I guess just the way that I game is just like I don't really think about that as much. It's like, to me, going back and if I play something, because I still play stuff old school, like I'll break out my PS3 or my 360 or even stuff way older than that, you guys. But it's like, and I'll play, and it's like a 30 frames per second game, and there's a lot of screen tearing, and you know what I mean? It's like you can really tell. Like the stuff that I've played this generation, it was 30 frames. Like I couldn't really, it wasn't a big deal to me. Like the games were smooth, I guess, probably because I have a newer TV as well, so it's like the VRR and all that VSync, it takes care of a lot of it. So it's like I never have those type of issues. It's not really a bad experience. I turned motion blur off. It's like I played that Star Wars Outlaws game at 30 frames per second. I couldn't even tell that game was 30 frames. I also probably one of the rare people that enjoyed that Arkham Knights or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Game. I thought that was pretty decent, and that was a 30 frames again. I don't give a shit. Give me a fun game, and I'll have a good time with it. I don't really care.
It's a good attitude, Crap. I really do. But the thing is, though, Crap, you always say we get promised these things, right? They're like, Crap, go take $700 out and go buy this, and then like, oh, by the way, it does the same thing your $500 one did. I mean, it's just, and don't get me wrong, that's not on the platform. That's on the developer who's making the game.
Yeah. Yeah, so like in my room, I also have a newer TV, and my Series X, that's where that's at. In the living room, I have a Series S. And, sometimes I'll play out in the living room, and, there's you can tell that, there's a difference when you're playing that. I remember I played part of Indiana Jones on that and part of Avowed on the Series S, and, you can tell, but it's like, it doesn't, if I'm having fun with the game, I don't really particularly care. You know what I mean? But I do agree if people are, expecting something and you're saying something, then, I think that they should deliver. I will say that, this generation, as far as the console stuff, I think there's under 10 games out of probably hundreds that have released that are 30 frames. So, I'm trying to think of
them are Xbox exclusives.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, there's, and some of them even got patched to fixed up and are now 60, right? Redfall got patched, Starfield got patched. So it's like that stuff's not impossible to, and I can remember them saying, no, it would be impossible to do Starfield, push it to 60 because it would do this and that. And now I think the Series S even runs it at 60. So it's like, you can't really fool me with this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, that was another thing. I enjoyed Starfield. When I played through it, when I first played through it, it was 30 frames, and it's like, whatever, I had fun with it. It is what it is. I'm not gonna whine about that as much as something that really matters. As long as the game's fun, I'm cool with it. Because like I said, Mooch, I've been gaming since the 80s. Yeah. And man, we used to have fun with watching little dots and shit go across the screen, right?
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, I mean, you have, and I can still have man, you ever play this game on Atari called Circus? It's just this guy jumping up and the sound effect used to crack me up as a kid, man. I used to play that for hours, right? So listen,
bro.
Yeah, listen, man, this stuff is not it's fine, man. Look, when you had an Atari, you had to really use your imagination. I mean, what the fuck, Pitfall? You're this little dot jumping and then across what are supposed to be alligators, and you do that shit for hours and hours and hours. It's like, it's like I come from that. Yeah, it's like, I come from that though. So it's like, it's not. But not the way that Nukem would come from that, but I come from that era. You guys get my joke, baby.
Yeah.
Maybe it went over your head, but anyway, yeah. So it's like I get it. People that expected maybe 100% of the games to be 60. I kind of expected that most of them would be with the Series X and PS5. So I do expect something different with the PS5 Pro, whether that's 40 or an unlocked situation. They certainly had 13, 14 years to work on that. I think that they probably will. So, yeah.
So let's do this. I'm going to switch over because we are an hour 42 minutes in, and I want to get to the gear stuff a little bit, and then we have a couple other topics that I want to, even if we do a Crossfire rapid round. Let me start with Wise here. Wise, just real quick, and I will get to some of the super chats from earlier today as they pertain more to the Gears talk when Crap was talking about it earlier. Wise, when it comes down to it right now, so Gears of War Reloaded hits PlayStation 5 this August. It's going to have a pro enhanced mode. They're really taking out the red carpet again here. Crap mentioned it in his rant earlier today, and I do think it's worth mentioning. Do you believe in your heart of hearts, Wise, that this is probably the start right here of where we saw, I believe it was South of Midnight would be the last console exclusive for the Xbox Series? Do you think moving forward, we have Doom coming out on all consoles? We have, of course, Gears of War. It's a two-part question. Do you think Halo comes out next or soon with Starfield? And do you think that everything now just launches day and date everywhere? What do you think, Wise?
So I know for a fact Halo is definitely coming. I mean, that is like the only one that's really missing. So yeah, I mean, and plus from what they've talked about in their prospectus with regarding this with Xbox and Microsoft Gaming, it's not really Xbox per se. Xbox is more the hardware now. But with Microsoft Gaming, their business model right now is to put all of their games on all of their platforms. The only purpose of the Xbox going forward is it will be like an OS for them. Like, for example, what the Surface would be. So would it run Microsoft Gaming software? Yes, it will. Is it the only device that can run Microsoft Gaming software? No, it's not. But if you do not, I mean, like they're making the Xbox there for, okay, if you do not want to play PlayStation games and if you just want a console to play Microsoft games, maybe sideload some Steam games, that's the box for you. So yeah, they are going to definitely put all their games on consoles. And I think that next generation, those games will be day and date. I think those games will be day and date next generation because like there's no point. Like everything, like to delay it off of the PlayStation 5 or even the Switch 2 is just money that they're missing out because they know that when a game comes out, it's going to make its most money. It's going to make the most money in the first couple of months. So they would be foolish not to put all their games day and date. And from what they are showing, and we got Forza on PlayStation, we got Gears on PlayStation now officially. So of the Triumvirate, the only thing that's left is Halo. So they're going to move that. So that it's a no-brainer that they're going to release day and date, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So will Game Pass be worth it? Yes, it will be worth it because if you like Microsoft games that Microsoft is publishing and releasing, then for $240 a year, you get all of their games. And if you're not married to PlayStation's games, like a lot of people do not like PlayStation games, that is a pretty appealing price of entry. Buy the console, and for $240 a year, you get all of the Microsoft games.
Well, we have to think about this, though, logically, is that Game Pass has been a thing for a long time, and it's stagnant, right? They've already said, Matt Piscatella has said, yep, stagnant, not growing.
No, so they're not looking for growth in that. They're just looking at as an avenue for, okay, like if you do not want to buy a PlayStation and buy all of their games on a PlayStation, and because you don't like PlayStation games or you do not want to buy a PC, you just want a game to play Microsoft games and maybe sideload a couple of Steam games. That is the purpose of the.
Who has that attitude, bro? Nobody thinks like that.
That's a small group. Wise, I don't think that.
I mean, that's a small group, but same thing. So what's the reason? What is the Surface business model? It's the same business model.
The reason
I'm a developer, right? And I gotta spread my resources out. Sell me on putting my game on that, that platform, because it doesn't sound like anybody's gonna buy it or it's going to be worth the money to spend to put it on that, right?
I don't think they're interested in the Xbox growing. They are happy with the Xbox being a tax write-off, and that's what they want. They want Microsoft Gaming to be the big thing. And so if there is not a third-party publisher, the major third-party publisher that puts it on the box, I don't think they care. The box is not even being subsidized. I promise you that box is probably going to be coming out at $700 or $800 because
why even bother at that point?
Yeah. Well, how much do you think the PlayStation
I think it's going to be.
cost?
I think. Listen, I think people are going to be very surprised to see the PS6 is going to be between $500 and $600. It's not going to be no $800 like people think. You know, it's absolutely insanity to think that. The reason why they were able to do that with the Pro because they knew they were going to try to reach out to some enthusiasts, and they knew that Microsoft, you know, even though Microsoft still isn't trying, you can't do that with, you know, the more casual people and try to get that big lump up front group that are going to buy your platform. So they're gonna sell a console. And not only that, but people are worried about, you know, the wrong, like, you know, talking about 2-3 years from now, you know, you ain't gonna have to worry about tariffs then. You ain't gonna have to worry about, you know, inflation should be going down. Like, so things will be, I think, much more, and you have to have a reasonable price out there. I do think that Microsoft is going to probably not, you know, I don't even know if Microsoft will make their own console. I think they're gonna, you know, have different companies try to make a couple different things.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's going to be about
which,
like
you know,
they're
again,
doing with their handheld right now.
Yeah, and listen, I think that is probably they're going to say, well, there it is. But again, like, how is that a sell to a customer? Because there's no guarantee that like we already see it right now. Maybe it's just Black Myth Wukong and this Alien game that got announced. It used to be a VR game, and now they announced it's coming just to regular. You know, it's going to be playable through just be a regular game, but only on PlayStation 5 and PC. So not coming to Xbox. And I think we live in a world where we can start to see more and more games not come next because
that's important. I mean, crap. That's your point right there. Is what Wise. That's the one thing that I understood your point. And I even get the tax write-off point you made with Microsoft. But what Crap's saying is when he said, "Give me an example, sell me on this." When you have a situation where you're a developer and you're making it, there was a developer that was there was someone who was talking to Chris Drang, I think, or it was in an interview. Nib, you posted some of it, and they were like,
I saw that. He's like, "What's the point?
What's the point?" Right.
Yeah, because, you know, everything, and it's so funny to see, because, and listen, I get it, right? Like Call of Duty is going to always sell well on PlayStation, but whenever you hear Phil Spencer talk, it almost sounds like he thinks every game is Call of Duty, and so let's put it on as many screens as possible, and then surely it'll be a hit. Like, I can guarantee you this. South of Midnight could have been on PlayStation as well, and it still would have done Bupkis because it's not a big game. You know, same thing with Hellblade 2. There's just games that aren't huge games. You know what I mean? It's like, and so again, it like really you have to question, oh, hey, why are we doing this? And it's the same thing with Gears of War.
That's why they're doing Steam. That's why I think they're talking to Steam, because I think they know that, you know, if it's just a game that's coming to their box, they may have a hard push to sell this to a publisher. Whereas if they have a ability on their box to sideload Steam games, then if it's going to come to Steam,
that's the rumor. That's an unsubstantiated rumor. And what would be the benefit to Steam or Xbox? It would be.
Isn't that just a PC at that point, though?
Basically, it is a PC. Well, I think that's what they're going to be making.
Think about it.
Okay, well,
going to be an
like,
app.
listen, man,
it's going to be an app.
This. I've got one question, Wise.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got one question, Wise. Of what benefit or revenue would Microsoft make customers opening up their Steam app on their Xbox next generation and purchasing a game on Steam?
Absolutely zilch.
There you go. It's not doable.
I've brought this up too because people are so convinced that Steam will be on it, and my big question that nobody has answered is: here's the big problem. Microsoft makes money from people paying to play online. Steam does not require people to play online, pay to play online. So are they just gonna say, okay, well, Game Pass is now $10 cheaper a month because you don't have to pay online?
And all Xbox will be to Steam is an extremely weak detractor from their platform, because having Steam on Xbox does pretty much nothing for Steam. They're not benefiting from that at all, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't get anything from a third party, like Mafia, this new Mafia game. If there was Steam on this Xbox, right, and somebody bought that through the Steam store, Xbox would get $0 from that transaction. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And also, Steam games tend to launch $10 to $20 cheaper than ones on the console store. So why, you know what I mean? It's like, I think that opens up a whole can of worms. Like, how would Microsoft make any money from that? You know what I mean? And there's also the big problem with PC Game Pass is like $10 cheaper than console Game Pass. So what happens then if you have this weird hybrid. Now, here's where I think there might be some truth, or there might be, they might try to do something where they combine the store with the Windows Store, right? And I think there's been some confusion in what we've been hearing. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that Microsoft is just weird in general. I don't care what they do because Steam machines already failed because PC gamers want to tinker and upgrade and shit like that, and console gamers just want to plug and play. So who the hell would you know what I mean? Like that, I don't think really would appeal to the people that, to me personally, yeah, it wouldn't appeal to me at all. But like Microsoft themselves putting their stuff elsewhere, how do you really sell anything to anyone anymore at that point? Like there's going to be some that are entrenched, held hostage would be the way that I would put it, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a large library, Microsoft is almost holding you hostage saying, we don't give a shit. You're going to buy our next platform because that's where your hundreds of games are, right? And I think that's where it's up to the gamers to decide, well, because listen, I can tell you, right? Like I have a lot of games on Xbox, but I also have a lot of games on PlayStation. So it's like you can start building up. If you're an Xbox fan and you're like, man, I got 800 games on Xbox. Well, I could give you some advice, and I'm an Xbox guy. You can get a shit ton of games cheap on PlayStation. I do it all the time. They have these huge deals. Get a full game for the South Park Stick of Truth for $3 on PlayStation. Get the other South Park game for $5. Get this game for $2, right? Get hundreds and hundreds of you can build it up now. And that way, if you decide, whatever the case may be, I know for me personally, I have zero interest in some kind of hybrid console from Microsoft. I have zero interest in the next Xbox, assuming they come out with one, if it doesn't have exclusive games. Right, it would just be foolish.
Yeah, that's the thing, and so that's the point I want to piggyback on. Wise, to go back to your original point, because you weren't necessarily. I know where you're coming from.
More exclusivity in Xbox's definition.
This is so when you say so. Wise, there's the counter to your original argument. Maybe people just want a box. But by the way, the entry point for a box right now is an Xbox Series X is $599, and then the games are $80, or you can pay $240 right now, which is probably going to go up to $24.99 soon. That's a large entry price to get into for something where all those games you mentioned and no more exclusives are on there, and they can pick and choose what games they want to play. That's the thing. There's so many games coming out this year. People keep saying this. It's the greatest value in gaming. It's the greatest value in gaming. I always say value's in the eye of the beholder. That is something that you feel, that's fine. I'm not taking that away from you. But there's literally, we just named 4 or 5 games coming out between August 15th and September 20th. How in the hell are you going to play all those games? Only one of those games is coming to Game Pass in Gears. How are you going to play all those games and then play the 250 games that are in your library behind? There's always new games, and now we're on the downside of this side of the generation. This is where the games come out like by the plentiful. So that never slows down. 2026 is going to be unbelievable. 27, 20. When you're slow usually the first 2-3 years, I understand, as developers are ramping up using new tech, etc., right? But nowadays, that's not the case. So Wise, I don't know. That's the thing. When Crap says this, we've been saying it on the show for a while now, and Microsoft's been a little quiet about it. They said the Xbox Handheld. The Xbox Handheld, is that still something that's coming down the pipe? Or is that this ROG Ally 2 we saw that has an Xbox logo on it and the YXAB buttons attached to it? I mean, is that...
Yeah, that's terribly like the way that why brand something Xbox? It's not Xbox, right?
I don't get that,
all the time. It's like, it's like, if it can't play your actual Xbox library, it's not an Xbox.
Bro, right? We've read Microsoft like an absolute book. We've read them like a book.
I just wish that they would just, pull the Band-Aid off at some point and just be like, okay, we're the next Sega. We're going to fully do
I think they're doing that. They're just doing it slow.
Yeah,
but I just wish they would just...
I think it's raising the temperature in the pot slowly type situation. You basically start slow and basically take your hand away very slowly. You don't just aggressively pull it away. So that's what I think they're doing. I think they're winding down their hardware business, and I can see within one generation, I think they're going to release a hardware for this generation, but going forward, I do not think they're going to offer hardware anymore. So, yeah. I think that's what their main ploy is going to be full third-party only digital, because that's what Microsoft is a software company. That is what they're comfortable with doing. They got Office as a subscription service or buying outright. They got Windows as a subscription service or buying outright. So same thing here. They want Game Pass, or they want their games to be either on a subscription service.
I wonder if Phil Spencer sits back and he's like, "Man, we're really taking advantage of some people that can actually sell some consoles." You know what I mean? That must have been like, what's that feel like? You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine? You're like, Jesus, how did the Switch sell almost 160 million units, and how did the PlayStation 5 sell, 80 million? Are like, Jesus, what's that like? You know what I mean? Like, you have to think that this guy sits back and thinks, like, what a failure. I tell him every day lately, by the way, that he should resign.
We've seen the tweets.
I'm like, Phil, resign, you bum. Listen, I'm not really attacking the guy, but I call him a bum. He's, you know what I mean? Like,
Guys,
11 years.
Do you think
it is crazy though? Because we have read them like an absolute novel the last 5-6 years, and it's
I called this when he put Quantum Break on PC. I'm like, dude, this was a decade ago.
On my old podcast, literally 4 or 5 years ago, we were saying that if Game Pass doesn't reach the super high ceiling that Microsoft wrongly think it's going to reach, because they think gamers act the same as TV watchers, which we don't consume content the same way at all, then only 20 to 30% of the gaming market would see at least some value in Game Pass, and even then you'd have to detract them away from their already established platforms. It's just not going to happen. And we said all of this,
that people like to own their stuff, right? It's different.
And if it doesn't land, they'll go full third-party publisher, and and then start to try and almost detract from their own hardware in an attempt to kind of kill it slowly. Well, everything they've done, textbook down to the T, we could see from far, far away, except the Xbox fanboys and the Xbox content creators.
And the thing is like, I know people don't believe this. I am an Xbox fan, right? That's what pisses me off so bad. It's like, I'm a fan, but sometimes I feel like Frank Grimes from The Simpsons, that other people don't see that Phil Spencer is Homer, right? He's so stupid, and he's really fucked the brand over. And like, listen, people go, well, what's the matter to you, crap? And I'll say this, right? Like, I wasn't sold on Xbox this generation. Yeah, they bought ZeniMax right before pre-orders opened up for Xbox Series X and S. They knew why they did that, right? Because they had no exclusives at launch, and they needed something to sell people on. And that made me bite, right? If they had said, we're not going to have any exclusives and everything's going to be on PlayStation, I never would have got one. Never.
Yeah.
Do you think that this was the plan all along, though? So the reason I asked that is, exactly. So the reason I asked is, let's go back to the Xbox 360 era where it was Prime. Do you think, this was in the works, that they thought that they were going to slowly gear off hardware? Because I'm kind of touching on Wise's point a little bit when he was saying, Microsoft is a software-based company, and understood. But I'm looking back at, the early days of Xbox, and then going to Xbox 360, because I have a lot of memories with Xbox 360, and it was phenomenal. But it's hard to imagine that they had this idea of moving away from hardware back then, versus a series of unfortunate events in the past 10 years, let's say, to the point we are now. And it's really, really sad to see, because I feel like a lot of this could have been avoided if they just kind of sat back and and I use this this comparison loosely, but I think it's not always a bad idea to look at your competitors to see what they're doing successfully. And again, I'm using PlayStation as an example. So Mooch, I'm going to attempt a food analogy here.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So let's say you and I have a restaurant on the same block, and your restaurant has been successful for years, and you have a famous recipe that it's been passed down for generations, and no one has that recipe but you. So that's your IP. And for me to have a successful restaurant as well, I don't necessarily have to have your IP, but I am looking at what you do for your restaurant that I can mimic, like valet, or a great staff, great service, things like that. Marble flooring, fine china, dishware, stuff like that. And then creating my own IP or my own recipe that's going to draw people in. So, and the reason I say that is because, okay, if Xbox could have sat back and kind of see, we're not really doing that great with X, Y, and Z, let's take a look at what Nintendo and PlayStation are still doing successfully, and maybe we don't have to get rid of our hardware at this point. So that's why I asked. Like again,
well, the thing is
here's the funny thing,
so-
right? Here's the funny thing, real quick, right? Microsoft could still be doing the cloud stuff that they're doing. They could still be putting stuff on PC, and nobody would care. It's the putting the stuff on the competing hardware that's trying to kill you and take out your platform. And then when they get their 30% of your own games, they're buying more games to keep off your platform. And the fact that Microsoft are doing things to their fans that they shouldn't be doing, right? Like imagine a company that supposedly likes their
that platform anymore.
And that's what I was saying, Crap, too.
Just ended,
and that's
right?
what I was
Like,
saying too, Crap. That's what I was saying too, Crap, is that what you just said is based on that unfortunate events over the last 10, 15 years, right? So then again, going back to the Xbox 360, did they have that mindset? Because I would argue, obviously, no, because they were being very successful with their stuff at that time.
And you know what they did? That was very much what they knew. Exclusives matter. They had a hot new game, Gears of War. Also, they did some things that people don't remember, but GTA 4, they bought exclusive rights to the DLC to that. Right? There was a couple of different episodes, like single player content. They paid $50 million to get for a year exclusive DLC to GTA 4. Then they also spend another bunch of money, 50 million or more, to get Call of Duty maps early. Right? You got to do stuff.
Don't forget, you had the orange box only on.
Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 as well.
Yep.
It's like you had stuff. Yep, you had BioShock for a year. Saints Row 1 is still, I think, might even still be an exclusive to Xbox. But you had a group of Mass Effect. Mass Effect 2 was exclusive for a year.
Who cared about gaming? Think Peter and Don. They actually cared.
Exactly.
They cared about the image and the brand and the competition. They loved the console war. The console war, they were the console warriors.
Yeah.
We were watching. We were watching the battle.
Funny. If you hear Peter Moore talk about it, he says it's healthy. There's a
very healthy.
Unhealthy way. If you're personally attacking people or going to fight people in real life over it, that's too far. But if you're just like, PlayStation's better or Xbox is better, that's good. That's like I equate that to sports teams, right? I'll always when I'm a football fan, a baseball fan, I'll talk shit to people. You know what I mean? Like that's not. But I'm not going to fight somebody over it. But I'll take it to I'll go back and forth.
Apparently, you've never been to Alabama.
And Crap, that was my whole point too about if the console model was proven to be a failure, that's one thing. But again, I'm using that 10-year span right now. Both PlayStation and Nintendo have proven that the console model is still very extremely relevant. So it was almost like Xbox was so bent on being so different away from their competitors that they weren't looking at the results of each year of what they were putting out to see the decline. And so
I think it was just they were too lazy, bro. They were just too lazy. They didn't commit to a single thing.
This is what I've talked to Mooch about. Is like, are they so oblivious to what they're doing or what's happening away from their consumer base? Or are they know what's happening and they don't care, intentionally going
they know what's happening.
That they want.
This is why they didn't do a live audience for their showcase, right? Because they know what would happen if they did that. This is why they're not going to do like the fan fest stuff anymore, because they know what's happening. You can't treat your fans like shit and give them a lesser product. Right. And actively help the other product be better than your own, which like people don't realize. But by doing multi-platform day one releases, they're taking longer time to develop games. Like so that means we're getting games in less time. The games are better on PlayStation 5 and obviously the Pro. You know what I mean? It's like Gears of War is getting a physical release on PlayStation 5.
That's crazy.
Xbox,
That's crazy.
right? Yeah, it's like this
That's
stuff.
wild.
The way that they treat.
Here's the thing. Okay, and you guys know I'm an Xbox fan. I got my controllers. I posted everything about it. But I have a feeling, and this is just tinfoil and hiding here, and this is just my theory and from a business perspective. I think they are trying to sort of slowly even sort of make even the Game Pass Ultimate sort of go away. Because think about it this way. in order to have
the
Game
same
Pass
thing.
Ultimate, you need to have a Xbox, right? Otherwise, you can't use Game Pass Ultimate on anything else. Period.
Right, because PC Game Pass, you don't need that ultimate feature of online pay.
And it's like
right.
$10 cheaper.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, if you are making your box irrelevant, aren't you by default or by extension making Game Pass Ultimate irrelevant?
Wise, honestly, that you know what's crazy?
Yeah,
you
I see your point.
Which I think is you said something just then, which I don't think you even realized you said, but it shows a fundamental. It shows a fundamental issue, right, with the Xbox culture. You said, I'm an avid Xbox fan. I've got my controllers. Think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
You Xbox fans are the only demographic who talk like that, who think like that. Because what Xbox became to you guys was a team to support and buy merchandise of. You were a bunch.
Well, we were the underdogs, man. They really,
they
really had us.
But what Microsoft?
Hey, Mooch, let's get
underdog.
somebody on the podcast.
Everyone likes a good coming up story. Everyone likes Rocky, so everyone likes that type of story. So,
hey,
no, it is interesting.
Let's get Mikey Barra. Let's get Aaron Greenberg on the podcast.
Yeah.
Sure.
Everybody
go do the round. Hey, let's all go out to eat at some restaurant on Microsoft.
It's a PR move, yeah.
When it comes to the games, Microsoft are at odds with Xbox because games require a lot of investment. And they were just both lazy. You had a Microsoft guy running Xbox, Phil Spencer. He's a Microsoft guy. He's not an Xbox guy. He's a Microsoft guy. You've got that mentality. Trying to Sony are dependent on PlayStation. Sony and PlayStation are 1-to-1 in their line of reasoning, in their culture, in their goals, in their agenda. Xbox,
same thing goes for Nintendo too, Willie.
Yeah, and Nintendo, they're literally called Nintendo. That's the company who owns Nintendo.
That's it.
And whereas Microsoft and Xbox are completely different, and it's very much a fictitious culture between the two, right? And now they're aligned because Xbox has submitted completely as a brand, as a company, to the agenda of maximizing profit and return on investment. So they started making games. But think about back compatibility. This big selling feature of the Xbox, they gave up on it. They threw it away. They give up on absolutely everything. There is nothing that Microsoft has committed to for the benefit of Xbox that they've not given up on. Even Game Pass they gave up on. How? Because they did not make it essential. Game Pass. Yeah. They bought all these IPs to lock behind Game Pass. That was the goal. To make Game Pass, we can't maximize the ceiling. We'll force them onto Game Pass. We'll make Game Pass irresistible. Nope. We'll also sell them on Steam. We'll sell them here. We'll sell them there. It detracts. It detracts away from Game Pass becoming anything other than a rental service. And that's not enough.
Well, that's it's Willie. You actually said something a while back that I'm not sure if you even understood what you said when you said lazy. I don't know if it was lazy. Me and Crap always used to say I was in bad quality, poor quality. When you go back to the Xbox One era, Crap, how long did they go without a game outside of Sea of Thieves? And then they had Gears. Was it Gears 5?
I remember counting down.
How long was that?
400 days.
Yeah,
500 days. You know what I mean?
So they waited forever to put the games out. And then on top of that, the games when they were saying, "Oh, you can't wait." Phil's played. What was it there? Crackdown 3. It's going to be the greatest thing you guys have ever seen. It's amazing. And the games were letdowns when they came out, and then they waited so long in between games. And it was just like, that was the thing. They took their foot off the pedal. I understand they had a real rough launch. Well, they had to wait.
The Cloudys thing is behind.
They had a rough launch with the DRM stuff and things like that. But I thought they started to right the ship. They went and got Titanfall. They went and got a Tomb Raider exclusive for a year. These are the old things that were working, and they were ramping up. Then they just kind of stopped. And I think the idea was we're going to go the Game Pass route. And that's what they started to push. And the thing is, from Game Pass's inception all the way till about this year, and some people will argue, come on, Mooch, 2023 was pretty good. 2024 had a couple games. All right, whatever. I'll give you that. But this is the first year that it really was the full-blown, wow, this is a great year. They're nonstop hit after hit. But the thing is, Crap, we talk about this all the time.
You can't argue that.
It's not arguing. No argument. No argument.
Yeah, you can't argue it because because the first party output was so bad. Like you had to wait like 6 months between something and then Hellblade 2, right? And then another 7 months or whatever it was. It was like you can't do that, you know.
Well, the thing is,
like,
Crap.
This is how you got to do it.
Crap, you got Marsh. Marsh in the chat writes, Game Pass can't even crack 35 million sustained subs. Let's just say they're at 30 to 35 million right now. The number's irrelevant at this point. It's not where they want it to be. The one thing that they gambled on, Crap, okay, is they gambled on people being okay with renting games. The thing is even casuals that buy just Madden, just NBA, just Call of Duty, they want to own the game. Even the casual wants to. My friends, they don't listen to podcasts. They don't do this. They don't know what IGN said. They don't care. But they buy Madden every year. They buy Call of Duty. It doesn't matter that it's in Game Pass. They buy it. Yeah. And the point of the matter is that they gambled on people being okay with renting games and giving them a lot of stuff. That wasn't necessarily the case. Not just that, but the market is saturated. We've been saying this for 5 years. The market is saturated on subscription services. And now the subscription services have the gall, and Xbox is doing it too, right? So there's AMC, AMC Plus, AMC Plus Plus. Yeah. You want it in 4K? You want no ads? You want a couple ads? Xbox. You want these games? You want all the games? You want the big games
with those streaming services, and you get fucking you get ads now.
We are subscribed out. We're subscribed out. People are done with. So now
I agree. Well, listen, Microsoft saw a bump when everybody was locked inside their houses, right?
That's right.
But it's like at the end of the day, that was always going to count. But I mean, Microsoft got like a huge bump, right? Because you didn't have to go anywhere to buy anything, really, like the games. You just, hey, subscribe to Game Pass, and they got hundreds of games.
Right.
The thing is that with Game Pass, it's like I get it's like for a certain type of gamer, but for the type of gamers that are just used to buying things and have been doing that for a long time, they would rather own their games. And again, it's like I've never seen people hype up a rental service, and it's like it was funny because I saw a GameFly commercial or ad today, and it was like we have all the games day one through our service, and it's like Xbox only has this one new game day one that just came out, or you know what I mean? It's like so like people, there's different, like if you like the rental service, I think that's cool. I think it's like a cool like cherry on top of what should be like a great thing with exclusive.
That's Singer. The one reason I think that PC Game Pass sticks around, when I originally said even years back, I said I don't know. I was agreeing with whoever said it earlier. Wise might have said it, that Game Pass might go away. Ultimate Game Pass might go away, but PC Game Pass, in the same respect that Ubisoft Plus and those other subscription services exist, it's kind of just some extra money for Microsoft, right? They're putting their games everywhere.
I think Microsoft has a couple of panic moves last gen. One of them was Game Pass doing day one games,
right?
And the other one was Play Anywhere, giving people an extra free copy of a game, right? Like that's not business 101.
No, that's
panic.
Well, no, the Game Pass model was there to sort of offset the digital library people built up in the PS4. So when they did Game Pass, they're like, okay, well, we know we lost the PS4 generation, and that was a critical generation, as we all said, because everyone was starting to buy more digital. Well, how do you sort of combat that? They said, well, okay, if we give these games away on a subscription service, then that sort of should negate the digital collection, which I don't know if that sort of is a thing. I mean, I don't know if that is a correct assessment that they made.
I got a couple super chats here. See if this riles you guys up a bit, and then we'll switch subjects real quick. Arch War Angel, pardon me, says Halo Gears Forza song, my favorite song ever made. Very good song. Shout out to Arch War Angel. So hyped to play Gears on my PS5 Pro. I appreciate that. Liquid Tada, he says they are scared to tell their fan base that they are about to get out of the boxing ring and just get money. Listen, Liquid, I don't know if use the word scared. I think this is a tactic. I don't remember if anyone remembers on the panel. Let me know in the chat. Let me know. But same thing when like Sega got out of it. Dreamcast ended their hardware race. It's gonna be a slow. It's not always gonna be just like pulling the Band-Aid right off. It's gonna be kind of a slow burn.
They went through months of rumors and stuff, and this was like before heavily the internet, but there was like rumors, and I remember being maybe on something similar to GameFAQs or something, but there were rumors that that Sony would be, or that Sega had stopped production, or that they were gonna possibly stop hardware. With the Dreamcast, you know what I mean? So like there were rumors, but you got to remember that was way back in like 2001 or something. So the internet was like hugely different. You know, and when it comes to like the Xbox, I don't think they're making Xboxes anyway right now.
No,
right? Like they're like you can never find them.
Yeah.
And they basically pulled out. A lot of places around the world are like, no, we don't have any place. You know, we don't have any.
Yeah.
I know, like GameStop wouldn't take Xbox as a trade-in anymore because when they went up on price, GameStop locked down the trade-in for Xbox X, Series X's and Series S's. They don't
Wow.
take
Yeah,
trade-in.
but aren't they gonna? They're gonna wait to see for the price that's gonna increase, right?
I think so.
I think so. I hope so.
I would think so. Shout out to Easy E.
They were offering some. Hey, they were offering some insane amount on a certain day. Was it like $420?
Yeah, we
or
were
something?
we were live on the air and somebody looked it up. I don't know if it was Wise. I don't know who looked it. Somebody looked it up and gave it a price. It was outstanding, that trade-in number.
Yeah, it was like $420 because you can't find them. They're never around.
Right, you can't find them, so it becomes a rarity.
Microsoft is like, they're like, hey, we don't actually make these things. Oh.
Hey, so
you know what I mean? Phil Spencer's like, whoa, guys, easy. We don't want people to actually buy these things.
Slow down.
Okay, I don't want to cause all of you guys to start laughing or anything, but this is a true story. Okay, so when I got my PS5 Pro, I took my original PS5 and I took another Xbox Series X. I had my son's Xbox that he's not using, and I took them both to my school. And we have these like projectors and stuff, and I connected there so like when students have a study hall or something, if they want to play a video game, they can. Well, I was gone for spring break, and I come back. Somebody stole the PlayStation 5, and the Series X was still sitting there.
Oh damn!
I'm just saying.
The worst part was there was two more. They had left two more Series X's, right?
They left two.
That's how bad it was.
They traded them in.
They left two more.
They felt bad. They traded in an S and an X and took the PS5. Oh, very polite. Very polite of them. Easy E says Microsoft did everything right with the 360 and still came in third. The Xbone, he said TV was their attempt at carving their own lane, just like Game Pass. Was a third-party Xbox always inevitable? That's the one thing that I gotta say. I don't know. I agree with you, crap. Or whoever said was it? Oh, James, go ahead.
That was
James.
crap. But I would definitely, after you say something, I would like to comment on that.
No, go ahead.
I would just say this, right? So the whole thing where people are like Xbox came in third. There was never anything official. They were close, but the best part about that generation was you look at the PS2 had 93% of the market share with the PS2. Right, 150 million sold. Xbox sold 24 million. GameCube sold 22 million. They were non-players. The fact that that Microsoft was able to match what PlayStation was doing, and and in fact create a console that was easier for developers to make stuff for, and they brought a lot of stuff to the table. Like Don Matrick was the one that came up with the idea. I know it's not gaming related, but he took it to Netflix. Hey, can you get your streaming service, your thing to stream stuff on Xbox? That's why it was on Xbox at first.
Yep.
Because Don Matrick was the one that went to them and said, hey, can you do this?
Yep.
Right. And then you look at stuff like party chat, achievements. They really came with something to do.
That's right.
And if you look at it now, and I say this as an Xbox fan, we used to have when they brought the Xbox One, people hated it because of the old DRM. I was like, holy shit, Upload Studio looks dope. You're gonna be able to do backgrounds. You can do this, you can do that. Cortana, take a screenshot. I liked all the shit that they were bringing to the table. Like the offline, online thing, whatever. It is what it is. We're all kind of there now anyway.
Right.
But now think about it. We've got nothing. There's no Upload Studio on that. They don't give us anything specific. They haven't, we've been hearing they're going to revamp achievements forever and still hasn't happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the stuff that should
They're
be
supposed to revamp achievements.
Yeah.
We've been hearing about their new controller that has the haptic feedback that's not there. We've been hearing about that for a while.
Now is like the cheapest. It's the worst one, right? It smells bad, like cheap
It's
plastic.
so clunky and clacky.
It is, and it
So
clanks,
loud.
and the thing, and it clanks like clank, clank, clank. Like when you push button, it clanks. I know people don't believe it, but it's like it smells. And they're like, "Why do you smell it?" I don't know, because I have a habit of smelling plastic. But it's like it smells like that cheap Chinese plastic. Like you order something from Wish or something, and you give it a little whiff.
Again?
I don't lick the controllers. I smell the controllers. And the thing is the Xbox Series X and S controller feels cheaper than the Xbox One controller.
Yeah,
right.
It does.
So to add kind of to what Crab was saying and to what Easy E, based on his comment, so kind of what Crab is saying, that we don't know exact numbers, whether third or second or whatever. But even so, let's say for argument's sake they were in third place, they weren't doing bad. They weren't doing their games weren't bad. Their console sales weren't bad. They weren't doing poor in any sense of the form.
In fact, they
as
won.
would be
They
now.
won 30.
And
they won 34 straight NPDs to close out the generation. 34 straight.
And so that's what I'm saying. So kind of what I said earlier too is that had they not strayed away from the recipe that is still working today for PlayStation and Nintendo, we don't know what would happen today if they were still doing that. And if they, like the analogy that I attempted to do, I'm not as good obviously at food analogies as Mooch, but kind of like what I said, had they focused on their IP and did the things that their competitors were doing successfully, like again the amenities, and stuff like that, and making sure that their content was up to par, like PlayStation and Nintendo. This would be a very different world for Xbox right now.
This is the thing. So that's the point, James. I got to bring up though that's the point. If they could have had their cake and ate it too, they could have done the TV stuff. They could have done all this. But
Mooch,
crap,
you know what's funny?
That
Mooch,
should have been their secondary stuff.
Yeah, people go to me, they go, well, they tried the exclusive thing. I'm like, they haven't. For the last decade, they have not had a quality exclusives released consistently for over a decade. They just haven't done that. They needed to do like what they have this year, but all of them be exclusives and do that 5 years in a row. Right? You got to win some people over. Do you think people like Nintendo was they were all in on Nintendo at first? No, Nintendo was like, look, we're not like the old guys, the old school guys. We've had this quality seal. You can trust us. They can't flood the market with bad games. It's like you had to earn that shit. And same thing with PlayStation. PlayStation's out there earning it for decades, right? And then Microsoft is like, well, we quit back-to-back generations in the middle of the generation, but trust us.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't.
At the end of the day, a company or even a person who wants to do something is never going to fight as hard as someone or a company who has to do something. PlayStation and Nintendo have to make money.
Wise listened to CrossFire for years. He knows that's one of my things. I said PlayStation needs it to eat. Nintendo needs it to eat. It's different when you say, even the developers. I said this all the time. Listen,
if you're working to keep the fucking lights on in your house, your ass is going to work much harder.
Even some of the developers they picked up, okay, they had to work their asses off.
Go, man.
All right, crap. No, it's fine. I appreciate you staying, buddy. I got you, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One more thing real quick. I want to say this. Please, guys, stop covering for Phil Spencer saying it's not him, it's not him, it's not him. The guy's worked there 11 years. He's the CEO. He has two people ahead of him, but you don't think the people ahead of him put him there to handle these types of things, right? Like, stop giving the guy a free pass. He's making like $10 million a year, right? Like he's not like his hands aren't clean.
He looks stressed, crap. He looks so stressed.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Crap. I appreciate it, buddy. Great show. All right. But yeah, I think just to piggyback and then we'll move on here. Wise, that's the whole thing is that you when you work. Okay, the same thing with the developers they went and picked up. They went and picked up some developers. These are people that really had to work their asses off to keep the lights on, pay the rent, maybe they were matching some of the actual 401ks for their employees, this and that. Microsoft comes in, pays the bills, and the games, like even like Ninja Theory. Like Ninja Theory, listen, Hellblade 2, beautiful game. Beautiful game. There's nothing to really rat on it about. The only thing about it is it just, they didn't make that next step forward. You want to say graphically they did? Fine, I'll ride along with you on that. But it was literally, when I say the same game, not much really different from it. As a matter of fact, I do think that the mechanics and I think the fighting mechanics took a step backwards, even with all that money. The thing is when you listen to Ninja Theory tell their story when they were making the first Hellblade, they're like, we barely made it. We slept in a room to make sure we got this done. We would order pizzas and all kind of eat off of that. And we barely did this and we made this dream happen. Then all of a sudden, Microsoft comes in, they pay for this unbelievable mocap, unbelievable this, everything that, paid vacations, don't worry, work from home, you can do this, you can do that. And it's like you just see a bit of that creativity just kind of fly out the door. And whether you're talking about as simple as the developing teams that they picked up, or it was a situation like you were saying, James, and also like you were saying, Wise, that you have a console that they were absolutely dominating with and doing very well with the 360. They could have done TV. You could have the snap feature. You could have done all this, but you should focus on the games. You can have all that great stuff. The problem was they put the games to the side and they focused on the features. And that right there is what led them to slowly fall further and further behind. And then the last dagger, I said it back in 2020, 2021. Then Phil said it on that XCast show, and now everyone rolls with it. I said the worst generation to lose was last generation. That was when you had the digital era really blossom. That's when physical really took a step down, second half of last generation, and everybody was buying their digital games on PlayStation. PlayStation blew them out of the water with console sales. That's where their friends were. That's where the games were that they purchased. That's where the accessories were. And that's where they stayed. They stayed in that ecosystem. And that was a trench that they dug themselves so deep that when this generation started, they could not get themselves out. I said that back in 2020, 2021. I said that a long time ago, exactly in those words. And that's just as clear as day. It was just something that they couldn't combat. So when I see Microsoft putting Gears of War on PlayStation and maybe Halo or Starfield later, at this point right now, I said this a long time ago. I have my PS5 Pro, and that's why I put the money into the PC. I will pick up games that come out on Steam that I want to play from Xbox. It's just as simple as that. Now, the one question that I would ask, if you said, well, what would you ask Microsoft moving forward? I would say, how are you going to take care of people like Crap Gamer that has like, I don't know, whatever he has, 1,000 games on Xbox digitally bought? What's he going to be able to do to preserve those games? Are they going to be only available in the cloud? Will he be able to play them natively on a PC or on an Xbox Steam box? That's why I think, Wise, a box of some sort is probably still in their future, even if it's not the traditional sense, and it's more in the sense of a third-party box, because how are people going to be downloading games natively moving forward with their Xbox library? That's what I would like to know moving forward, and I don't think cloud's the answer for a lot of people. That's where I am with this. You know, I think that's kind of... What do you think, Willie?
Well, certainly not xCloud. It's like 10 years behind.
Right.
In the technology front, which is it's baffling to me. You can run a game at crisp, beautifully smooth, 120 frames per second, 120 hertz, 4K on GeForce Now Ultimate and PlayStation Cloud. They'll probably upgrade the PS5s, the PS5 blades to PS5 Pro blades in the future, so you'll be able to literally stream from your base PS5 a PS5 Pro quality game at 4K or at the native resolution of the game of the hardware. If your internet can handle it, right? And streaming I was a big anti-cloud guy in like 2019, 2018. And Zuby Tech, shout out to him on my podcast. He was like,
shout out
Willie,
to Zuby.
Just wait, you'll see. The cloud is going to explode, and you're going to eat your words, because you're going to be playing games over the cloud like better than you would play natively on an Xbox. Like the input latency is going to be less than the input, because an Xbox Series console has the largest input latency out of all the mainstream consoles. And Digital Foundry, sure enough, they assessed NVIDIA GeForce about 4 years ago, and they was like, well, actually, playing it, the input latency is half of that of an Xbox Series X, and we're quite shocked, actually. So I thought, all right, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try GeForce Now Ultimate, and I am crispy smooth, max settings, PC ultra settings, playing Star Wars Outlaws at 4K, 80 frames per second, ray tracing, all that good stuff. And you'd honestly think you were playing on a high-end rig natively. And I'm like, the PS Plus is close. It's a close second to NVIDIA PS Cloud. xCloud is awful. Like, by comparison, it's just shocking. So, yeah, I really think that, like, even the games that you stream on xCloud, they're the Series S equivalent specs. Like, you'll only be able to run like a game at 30 frames per second with poor image quality. You'll be able to run it basically as you would natively on a Series S. And it's like, what is going on here? So they've given up on everything, Mooch. Honestly, when it comes to providing for the customer, Crap's absolutely right. They have shown the customer, their customers, so much disrespect. They've tickled their ears, given them false hopes, false promises. Whatever happened to Velocity architecture? Who remembers that bad boy? It's all you lot could talk about in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's gonna have velocity architecture. It's gonna. Oh, flipping it. That was cringe. I sounded like Persona then. But like seriously, right? They promise you all these things, and they did not deliver on a single thing. Even xCloud.
It's xCloud. It was Mixer, the Series X, all the power and everything that never really transformed, because the minute that they were going to be able to do something with all these studios, they made it multi-plat. Once you go multi-plat, you're putting your game everywhere. You're not going to focus that hardware on, or the essence to that one piece of hardware and really squeeze the power out of that box. I agree.
Get this,
you know,
get this. One more thing.
Go ahead.
One more thing, Mooch. On GeForce Now, the Game Pass section. If you own an Xbox game, like I own Forza Horizon 5 and Forza Horizon 4, if you click on it, you don't stream the Series S version that you would on xCloud, you get the full PC version. And you can run it at like max settings. So it's like, bro,
well,
giving PC gamers everything.
Shout out to Anonymous Boss. I appreciate it. He says, smash that like button. He also sent the super chat earlier. Anonymous, I told you I read. He said, Phil and Satya don't care about little Timmy paying $730 on a Series X and even more for an Xbox Elite Series controller. All that tops close to $1,000. Yeah, the price hike is another thing, and that's what Liquid Tada says here as well. He says if games are $80, it takes 4 months to get one game purchase out of Game Pass subscriber. Shout out to the great Willie Gamer who was just saying this. He goes, even xCloud tech is a decade behind PS Cloud and GeForce Now Ultimate. Xbox has done nothing to deserve all these controllers, but but sell you controllers. Shout out to Willie Gamer. I appreciate that he's on the panel and he gives a great super chat. So let me ask you guys this. I want to kind of do a speed round right here. I'm going to ask Deathsinger. I want to ask Deathsinger first here because I would assume he kind of likes the same things that I like. I was a big fan of E3 back when that was a thing, right? And when it comes to E3, Deathsinger, I miss it because I miss the stage presence. I miss the interviews. I miss the performances on stage. Sometimes there was performances before the game, which we get a little bit of that with Keighley now for the Game Awards. But you know what I mean. So Deathsinger, PAX East is going on. A lot of our brothers and sisters are out there right now. Shout out to all of them. I know the two that are out there, or a few that are out there. Jay Barry's out there right now. Persona's out there. Detective Seeds is out there. Those are the ones I've seen posting or talking about it the most online. Deathsinger, PAX East opened its doors today. Has PAX East taken over the expo market as far as you're concerned? And why doesn't it get more attention from the industry? It doesn't feel like they really pay a lot of attention to it, and it should.
Hey, Mooch, I'm sorry to interject, but my son's ready for, he has finals coming up this week, so I got to go.
No problem, Wise. I appreciate you being here, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
The great Wise Old Gamer, everybody. Dessinger, what do you think, buddy? Is PAX East getting its rightful due?
It is. Well, now it's no longer being overshadowed by E3. But then PAX was always more consumer focused, where E3 was industry focused before they became consumer focused. It's like Gamescom is completely 100% consumer focused, and obviously it's fucking huge.
Right.
But obviously PAX was always overshadowed by E3's coming up.
Right.
Now, if you notice, people who are actually into gaming, they're like Persona and all these other people, like the Iron Lords, like they go out to these events because they're showcasing games, like they're showcasing Mafia at PAX East.
That's right.
Like they're showcasing these new games and whatnot.
Borderlands had a presence too.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, this is your chance to get coverage. Like, if you're a content creator, PAX East is probably one of the best things ever because people are more willing to talk to you. Whereas if, like, an E3, you need to have a pass, you need to stand in the queue for, like, 700 years. And then, IGN, GameSpot, all these people are going before you because, industry loves industry. Right. So, they're going to get taken in before you because you're just a YouTuber. And so you have all this going on, but I'm happy now PAX is getting the limelight it does because it's, E3 is no longer a thing. E3 overshadowed everything, right? E3 was that time of the year. Everyone, everyone's hyped for the showcase. It's like, who's going first this year? The first day is like Ubisoft. No one gives a shit. No one's going to watch. Let's wait for Nintendo on the Sunday. Then Xbox on the Monday, and then PlayStation on the Tuesday or whatever. And it was always just this big spectacle. And PAX is not a big spectacle. It's just, more rooted. So, hey man, I mean, shout out to PAX. I mean, they're getting exclusives. Like Mafia being shown off there first, Borderlands having a presence.
Devolver's there. I mean, they do have some really great publishers showing up. That was kind of my point. Echo, I'll go to you here on this. What's your this is, and it's funny because depending on where we are, I'm in New York, you're middle country. Like, we're not always going to be flying to Los Angeles. You know what I mean? For all these things, this is actually something on the East Coast. This is happening in Boston. And I thought I would see even more of a push. Shame on me. I actually came really, really close to going. Shout out to, I think, Firefighter Alf's out there as well. Like, there's a bunch of people I know from the community that did go, but not as many as I thought. And I thought it would get more of a push. Is it because we don't see Xbox is not there, PlayStation's not there, and I believe Nintendo's not there? And I think by none of those, the big three showing up right there, I think that's a bit of a deterrent, even though Detzinger made a hell of a case for PAX.
I think that could definitely influence people not like going out of their way, maybe from, like I said, I'm in the Midwest, right? So I think that can definitely deter people from doing something like that. However, I think the fact that people are going to these in general, and I'm just using generalities, it doesn't matter if it's PAX East, if it's the Game Awards, I don't care. Personally, I am just happy that people are pushing gaming culture regardless.
Right.
And because I whether it's something small, something big, I do think that I think it would have been beneficial if the big three would have been there. It shows some type of presence. But the fact that, the fact that people are still going to these things or coming out, because I guess I'm using the pandemic as an example, but when people were still in hibernation mode and then coming out to go to these things, to me, is a huge plus. And it's always going to be a win in my book, whether the big three is not out. Now, if no one showed up, well, that's another thing. But people going there, again, to celebrate just gaming in general, I think that's something that we should encourage in any sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Nib, let me ask Nib a question. Nib, I want to ask you and Wooly here. I should have asked Detzinger in this regard, too. Nib, there is, of course, Gamescom, which is massive, right? But Gamescom takes place every year in Germany. So when it comes down to it, I mean, Germany, I understand Germany's closer to you than me, for sure. But don't you think that there should be a PAX or an E3 or an Expo, something more scattered throughout Europe and rotate? Or how does everybody feel over there about that? Because, what me and James were just talking about, me and Echo were discussing, it's very, like, PAX is here, there's PAX East, PAX Southwest, I think there's PAX Australia, but there's no PAX England, there's no PAX Italy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Europe, come on, where's the love?
Yeah, where's the love?
Like one of the biggest gaming markets in the world.
Absolutely, this is my point. So, I mean, how do people feel over there? Do you ever hear anybody kind of discuss, or is Gamescom? It is. By the way, Gamescom is massive. It's massive.
Yeah, I think it's because Gamescom has kind of got not exactly the same lane, but a lane to itself. So that's probably why,
That's fair.
It's one of those things where, like, we're not stepping on the toes of Gamescom. It's huge anyway, especially now that, like, E3 is not really a thing. Hence, PAX is picking up and Gamescom as well. I think it's okay because the issue you have is if you have, like, too many shows, then you get back to that point where you're incurring too much cost and too much time and this and that for developers. I mean, that was one of the reasons why E3 was getting too much, right? The sheer expense and time focus and everything associated with it just to get everything ready for that show was becoming a whole other thing, as was the cost implications, So yeah, maybe we're in a good equilibrium right now. And if you think about it, like, in terms of, like, even though it's not playable and people themselves cannot play it, the Game Awards has indirectly become a big showcase venue as well, right? Like,
yes,
for Sony to show off, like, Intergalactic there, for example, instead of at their own showcase, it's gaining more and more notoriety, and I can't remember how many what the viewership was. I think it was 152 million. and that's a gargantuan,
Yeah, that's
arguably
massive.
bigger than even E3. So it's kind of like taken that de facto role for those big kind of headline announcements now. At least I hope so, because now it seems like even Sony as well is on board with showcasing big new titles there. So I think we're okay for the time being. I do miss E3 though. Like, do you guys not miss it? Like, it was such
so much, bro.
Oh, big time! Like I used
too.
to do, like me and my cousins and friends and stuff. We used to do literally. It's gonna sound so sad, but we used to do a whole thing around E3. So we used to just crash out at each other's, get takeaway, play poker, have games like on in the background, have the constantly streaming like multiple screens.
That's awesome.
And it was just a good time. Like and like the shows, the conferences themselves were just so hype. You know,
no, they were amazing. I even missed the podcasting end of it.
We used highlight of the year.
We used to start. We used to start at like 8:00 in the morning, and we would just go all the way till almost 8:00 at night. And we would. So we had our respected channels, and we'd go and guest on a few others, and then others would come on to ours, and everybody just kind of leapfrog on a different podcast. And there was, Sony was at night, Microsoft was during the day, and then there was all, EA, Ubisoft, all in between. And it was such an experience, and it was. Honestly, it was amazing. I'm not going to lie to you. From the podcasting end of it, it did get exhausting. It was like 10 hours of podcasting, but but it was worth it. It was like Christmas for gamers. It really was.
And there's something electric about having a crowd reaction, a live crowd, because it's just a whole different vibe. Like I remember, like for example, like Final Fantasy, obviously it's my favorite game of all time. So when that remake was finally a thing, and you had all these, like, when Last of Us 2 was shown, and it just got big moments.
2018.
Oh my god, yeah, God of War 2018. That was insane.
2016 E3, bro. Oh my god,
it was like just some insane moments. I do miss those things. There's nothing, a digital presentation does not replicate that excitement.
No, it's funny you say that. The one thing that people always were hoping for, it seems like it's gone now, but boy, you want to talk about really making a splash, and it really wouldn't cost a whole lot of money. Remember PlayStation for a few years did PSX? I think it was called PSX.
Yeah,
and that was like a mini. That was like their part of E3 that they did on the side, and of course it was smaller scale because they just performed at E3. But now they don't have E3. Yes, you could still have a big. By the way, you could still have a big showing at Jeff Keighley's Game Awards. You can still have one game that's your big wow factor, but you can still do PSX to show how other games are coming along in your partnership with other teams, and it's live. And you have how many people would show up to that, buy tickets? The money. Listen, maybe they're not going to make money, but they might break even. And it would be just unbelievable, and they'd be one of the only ones to continue to do that. Now, again, I don't know. There's probably a lot of different scenarios on why they stopped, but I really do think that they should revisit that. And the reason I say this, I bring it up almost every year. PAX East is massive. The floor is big. Boston's a big-time fun city here in the States. Listen, I'm a New York guy, so of course, New York guys are always banging heads with Boston guys about sports. But outside of sports, I got to tell you, Boston's a lot of fun. The food out there is great. It's right off the water. It's the charm, the characteristics of the town and the history there, and the people and the accents are great because you guys Nib and Wooly and Deathsinger listening to me talk. I probably sound a lot different than Echo, right, and different than Crap. But when the Boston guys, they sound different, way different than I do. So it's like I find, but that's one thing that I find absolutely amazing and phenomenal. That's what I love about having Deathsinger, Nib, and Wooly here often, is because I'm fascinated by their language. Deathsinger was saying it earlier, or maybe it was even Nib. He's like, so I invited a few lads over. That sounds better than buddies. I wish we could adopt that. We can't say that. I couldn't say to Nib, hey, Nib, let's get the lads over. He'd be like, Mooch, why don't you just talk New York and I'll talk England? Okay, I'll talk English. You talk New York. All right. But Wooly Gamer was one of the ones that said to me all the time, he's like, Mooch, whenever you're over here, we're going to go out for a pint. And that sounds a lot better than let's go get a beer. So I love the idea of getting a pint. I think it sounds a hell of a lot better. It sounds like a true vacation, a true reward for a hard day's work. I earned a pint. And it's fantastic stuff. So I think that that's really, really good. Now, let me give the mic over to Wooly here to start. Now, Wooly, keep in mind, Nib kept us here for 4.5 hours last week. You might do the same here. Wooly,
I promise. I'll be good. I'll be good.
You guys heard it here first in the chat, folks. Let's clock Wooly Gamer's time here. Wooly, let's talk a little bit about Death Stranding 2, because we woke up to some outstanding gameplay, outstanding in-game footage, and a little bit more about a lot of content creators that absolutely got 30 minutes. Was it 30 hours? I think 30 hours. 30 hours with the game, and I think they barely scratched the surface of Act 1. Willie, what did you think? And I know you also shout out to Willie Gamer for having a tweet go to like. It's probably at like 20,000 now. Last I saw it was at 17,000 likes, so it blew up.
It's outrageous. It's gone completely viral, bro.
What should people look forward to with Death Stranding 2, Willie? You've been really looking forward to this game.
That's the understatement of the year, bro. Like,
True.
I've not been really looking forward to this game. I've been like, bro, I dream about it. I'm just, Kojima. If you hear this, I love you. You're like my dad.
You and Jeff Keighley are brothers. Yes, go ahead, please.
No, yeah. Honestly, 100%. But like what Kojima's done with Death Stranding 2 is everything I expected. But that's what makes me so excited, because what I was expecting is exactly what we're getting. And what we're getting is it's the full realization of Kojima's vision of Death Stranding. It's got, the soul of the first game is still intact. The moments of serenity, the moments of beauty, and also the melancholy of it all. The haunting. The hauntingness of it, but also the beauty of it, and music. Woodkid. I've been listening to a song called, I think it's called "Never Let You Down." He sang it with the girl who plays tomorrow in Death Stranding 2, Ellie Fanning.
Yes.
8 years ago, and it sounds like it would belong in Death Stranding 2. It's wild. No wonder Kojima picked it, because all of his songs that, like, you think he wrote them for Death Stranding. It's mad, right? It's low raw all over them, and it's. I've been watching the gameplay just to get to the meat of the bones. There's 3 types of play style. You can go full guerrilla and like full on. You've got turrets mounted to your bikes now. You can automatic turrets that shoot. You've got all kinds of weapons. The development team working on this also worked on Phantom Pain, and so there was a lot of them going, is this too Metal Gear? Or do we have to dial it down a bit? Because they were going so Metal Gear Solid in terms of the action.
Yes.
Which was quite promising to hear. But also you can go Predator, you can go stealth action, a silent sniper rifle. I think one of them used Andy Robinson, who previewed it. He from VGC. He had a silenced sniper rifle and took guys out from a distance, which was like, whoa, okay. So reconnaissance, scoping out is all possible. And you can also be a pacifist. You can avoid enemies altogether. There are new forms of BTs that can see you now. So you can't. So it's not a case of holding your breath and moving around them. It's more a case of actually using the environment to hide from them, which completely changes the gameplay. The day and night cycle provides opportunities to be more stealthy at night, and utilizing, the environment more during the day to stay hidden. Where do I start and where do I end? There is so much. Also, the visual presentation is at such a high fidelity on the base PS5. People thought gameplay was cutscene until they realized it was gameplay.
Right. But the one thing, Willie, the one thing I want to say though, just to kind of add a little bit to your great narrative too, is that the one thing about the first one that I wanted to see enhanced, and from every reviewer I listened to, even Skill Up, to what you're saying, because I know you've done your homework as well, is the game mechanics, the shooting, the action. He really stepped it up this game, which the predominant part of the game, let me not make things confusing here, is still being the porter, still being the carrier, still bringing packages from one, now from, I believe, Mexico to, I don't know if it's going to Australia. But my point being is that has not lost the meaning and emphasis that Kojima's trying to push through the game and linking the network. But let's be honest, in between, having the ability to carry that cargo with cooler equipment, faster equipment, more efficient equipment, and being able to acquire those items faster in the game, he listened to people. From what I'm hearing from the reviewers that played it, they did that. So it still has the essence of the game, Willie, but it has made those advancements that I think maybe kept Death Stranding, the original, out of a lot of people's how do I want to put it? List of games to play or portfolio, if you will. So I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, it goes without saying, Mooch, that Death Stranding 1, it didn't offer the creative freedom in terms of approaching combat,
yes,
and tactical espionage.
What were they called, Willie? They were called the mule camps, right? And
yeah, mule camps.
And it was almost like you couldn't. I think you could. I remember later in the game I did, but I remember early on they were kind of like, "You're gonna fight through the mule camp," and I was like, "I don't want to fight through the mule camp." I got 75,000 boxes I'm balancing here.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a proof of concept, really, the first game in some ways, and also, it was quite static. Like the BTs, they only appeared in the exact same locations. There were things that weren't as dynamic that I was hoping for, and in Death Stranding 2, that all seems to have been addressed. I'm hoping that was all addressed. You got a music player now. I've got a personal wish that the stabilizers that you use to slow your descent, you can jump off a mountain and slow your descent with stabilizers leveled up to level 3 in Death Stranding 1. I'm hoping that you could use them as propulsion devices when on your hover crate. Basically, you have a floating carrier, and if you skate, you can skate on them in the first game, but you can only really go over downhill or skate on a flat surface. You can't go over water, and I'm kind of hoping that if you could use a propulsion device to kind of push you forward. Like there'll be more creative ways to traverse the environment. That's for sure. The rail network that you can create in this game. I do think there's a lot of hints towards that. The message of this one is the harm of globalization. So, like the first game is all about connecting, but now this one's is should we have connected?
Right.
Because let's face it, we all say the exact same thing about the internet, don't we?
That's right.
The internet has harmed the earth more than helped it, and globalization has damaged mankind probably irreversibly in just 20 years, morally, sociologically, in every area. We are not better off with internet. And it's like
there's a case for that.
Yeah, maybe communication is, but again, that look at social media. It's like, well, I think that's kind of what Kojima is kind of mirroring in the sense that they have all these servers on the beaches now, so they're almost like it's like they're farming the afterlife. They're farming the realm between life and death for material gain. Through Chiralium. I'm guessing that's what it is. Just putting my if I'm just looking at it from face value, that's what it seems to be doing, because Chiralium can be used for all kinds of incredible things in this world, in this fictional world. So it's like, well, should we have connected? Do we need to break the cycle? And that's kind of, I think, where Kojima's going with this. Either way, man, all I can say is that this game is everything I wanted it to be from what I'm seeing. The first game, the amount of people, even in this chat, Mooch, just tonight, a person in this chat went, "Wooly, I finally got back to Death Stranding. I listened to what you said.
Yep.
And I've completed it, and I'm so grateful I did. Thank you." Do you know how rich I would be if I had $1 for every person who said that to me in the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Because I have told so many people.
You've single-handedly grown that franchise, even on this show.
Bro, don't. I've told people that stop getting weighed down, pardon the pun, by side missions, because you'll burn out, you'll get bored, you'll have no motivation to go to do the story missions. Focus on the story missions and save the side missions till after. Please pick it back up. I made the same mistake. I put it down for a year, Mooch. For a year, I was on Act 5. I put it down, but by picking it back up.
When you picked it back up, did you start from the beginning, Willie?
No, I didn't. I remembered where I was in the story, and I just started. But the story started to get really good by Act 5. So next thing you know, I was fighting Cliff, like in this World War II Vietnam area, and it was like things were starting to get really, really.
Yeah,
good.
you're in the trenches. Yes.
Yeah, and it's like. And the story started to all piece together and make sense, and I was engrossed. And by the end of it, Mooch, I was sobbing, bro. I was sobbing like that. That story involving BB, and your relationship with her, and your relationship with Fragile, and even you, and especially your relationship with Cliff, man, like with Mads Mikkelsen's character, like it's just become.
It really is something. It is,
and
the hardest thing is to get someone to try and play it, because once they do, I do think you start to get hooked into it. It's the environment, it's those relationships, and it's the music. That music's unbelievable. It's Markman might be the person you're talking about. Nib, let me ask you a question here, Nib, because I already know what Death Singer's going to say to me. But Markman says, played Death Stranding since Wooly recommended it to me in the chat a few weeks ago. Great game. Final scenes in the director's cut was absolutely incredible. Nib, what do you think? You saw a lot of the reactions. You saw the gameplay. You saw the footage. You had a lot to say on it today as well. Is this a game that you've been in? I know you maybe not anticipating it as much as Wooly. That's a very high.
No one's anticipating.
Yeah, that's a high mountain to climb. I don't know if you can get there, but I mean, what do you think?
I think he strokes a painting of Kojima every day, every morning.
Just one, bro.
Like,
it's not just a painting I stroke of him, bro. Like,
just one stroke every day. Right. There you go.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Nib?
Wooly Gooner for Kojima, bro. Wooly Gooner for Kojima.
No, I think it looks superb. I think like I posted this clip of Skill Up saying like that there was many people at the preview, and which is great. The fact that they invited people who didn't like the first game, which is really interesting. Like, and it is also a sign of confidence, I feel, from PlayStation to literally invite many journalists who didn't even like the first one. But one thing he did say every single person who was lukewarm on the first game or didn't even like it, every single one of them, he said, loved Death Stranding 2. Now, I don't know if that's hyperbole or what, but that sounds amazing. Imagine being able to flip everyone who, had issues with the first game. That's an achievement in itself. And what he said was the vision of the game has not changed. It's just the way he's implemented systems and more dynamic elements and things like that has removed certain barriers and resistances, and it's made the overall game, as or more enjoyable. And watching like the B-roll footage, the preview footage, I can see that, because even the B-roll footage, I think PlayStation, there's a good like 30 minutes or something like that. Every single snippet they've included is actually like a different element or a different aspect. So, 1 minute you're like fighting flash floods, another is like a fire, a massive firestorm, then it's like a lightning storm, and then you've got bosses, which you had obviously in the other one and everything like that, but up ante giant mechs and stuff. Like I think the gist I'm getting is that everything about the world that you're in and the things that you'll do will be much more dynamic and sort of allow for more emergent gameplay systems, because the world is constantly adapting and changing, and you're going to have to move with that. Because that's the thing, like if you are a courier or whatever, how do you make that more interesting? Well, it's the environmental elements. You up the ante on that, and it sounds like that's what they're doing. Even the combat, there's so much more combat in the B-roll footage and it almost kind of seems very Metal Gear Solid-esque, to be honest. So I think like I think it's going to be more sort of high octane, more action packed. I remember he said one of the quotes I remember hearing from one of the journalists was that Kojima described the first game as being I can't remember what the word he used, but basically about unity and bringing people together. And the way he described the second game is more about using the stick instead of the rope. So the rope is to bring people together. And he said, but sometimes in life, that idealism and about unity and all the good, it doesn't always work. Sometimes you actually need to throw down. So I guess from that quote, this is going to be a bit darker, more violent, more action packed. And I think because of that, probably the pacing and thrill factor is going to be better. But then it still has those like beautifully atmospheric and kind of, those somber moments with amazing vistas and everything like that, where you really feel one with the environment. And I think like to people who haven't played the game, it's not for everyone, the first game. But I will say, saying it's just sort of like a move A to B game is really selling the systems and the game short, because there is an entire strategy involved in how you transport things.
Yep.
There's so many systems in how you balance things, the weight, the corrosive materials, the tools and things that you take along your way, the exoskeleton, this, that, vehicles. The way to think about it is like, how in, RPGs or whatever, there's entire systems and mechanics around your combat or the guilds and this and that. That's basically what it does with transport. It's not just moving to A to B. There's a myriad systems involved that gives its own sort of gameplay within gameplay. So
Nib, everything you're saying, it resonates with me, and I hear you. And shout out to Nick in the chat. He says, Kojima glaze. Here's the thing, though, and Nick, I don't know how old Nick is, but like the thing about it is you get to be older and you game for so long. The one thing that I started to appreciate, and it definitely was later, was like the fact that you had like people like Sean Murray that. What was that game? He with the big open world there. I played it for a bit, but like just to give him some props here. No Man's Sky. Thank you. It didn't come to my. I just had it a second ago, but I was reading the super chat. No Man's Sky, and you have Kojima who does something very interesting with what Nib was just saying. And think about it for a second, guys. Break down what Nib was just saying. The different ways of transport, the idea of what that actually means subliminally, the weights and balance, the way that you can. Level up the relationships you make with the different people and how they kind of change your opinion. I see Willie writing to certain people in the chat saying, when I played that certain mission, I met that certain character that changed the way I felt moving forward, period. There's just certain things. Listen, again, by the way, if this game's not your bag, it's not your bag. I'm not selling you. But when you've played a lot of different types of games, like Souls-like games, and you've played a lot of shooters, and you've played a lot of role-playing games, and you've played a lot of, RTSs, whatever it is you like. That's the one thing. This is kind of my sales pitch to Death Singer, because Death Singer, I know, and we talk behind the scenes, is this might not be your bag, and I respect that. And if it's still not, you're not. We're done. That's fine. I agree. But the reason I start to flock to a few of these games that are so different, and their mechanics are different, the way that they make your mind think differently on how you're going to attack the problem or the enemy. These are things that, as I get older and I've played so many of the typical games that we've played over and over again, like I'm excited for Mafia, especially doing the old country, going back to Italy. It's going to be crazy, right? I'm excited as hell. But to sit there and say, oh, man, I don't know what I'm going to get. I know what I'm going to get, But when it comes to things like Death Stranding, and I first played that, I was like, this isn't probably for me. This is corny. Played it, and I was like, wow, I really enjoyed this. Then when I see people say, even if you liked it, you're really going to enhance it for Death Stranding 2. And if you didn't like it, I think you'll still like Death Stranding 2 because they made such a leap forward in every single category that people had asked for. That's intriguing to me. And I think that is you kind of going, like, you guys know this. I've been saying it for months, if not a year when it was announced. I can't wait to play Borderlands 4. But if you think I'm going to play, we had an in-depth look at Borderlands 4. Borderlands 4 is more Borderlands, right? So for me, that's fun. I love it, but it's not as intriguing in how gaming can change and how you can take the arts and you can take the mechanics that seemingly he did great in the Metal Gear series and implement that, and then take music and then take landscape and visuals and technology and put that together, and again how you attack your problems that are poised to you in the game. That's amazing. That's a step in a different direction for gaming, and it's not for everybody. So I understand. I'm not, you know what I mean, Nib? I'm not trying to, it's not a sales pitch, but it really is. 100%. As you play through years and years of games, Nib, like Borderlands 4, I can tell you I'm having a great time with it, Nib, but you're not going to be like, hey Mooch, what's Borderlands 4 like? You know what it's like.
No. I genuinely think, like, when I played Death Stranding, it really did actually feel like a bit of a because I know other games have done similar systems, but it did actually feel revolutionary in a way, and interconnected in a way that I haven't really had with games, because the whole like online system with people sharing sort of resources and tools and building things, you build your world with the community. So you build monorails and this, that, zip lines,
that's right,
and shelters, and there's something, I don't know, it's so cool because you'll come across this thing and be like, oh shit, like I didn't bring the right equipment or whatever, but someone will have left a message and left a ladder for you or something, or left a rainfall shelter, and someone you've never met has indirectly really benefited your experience and your game. And it's like, you respond with your likes or shares or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like there's this weird community vibe to it. And another thing about it, like, again, if you don't like it, it's fine. Like, this is it's a bit of a Marmite game. But I think for me, as you said, we're like enthusiast gamers. We play a lot of damn games, right? So many different types of games. So when something is refreshing, it can be nice. Now, innovation for the sake of innovation, it has to be good as well. But I will say, when I played Death Stranding, like, it just was a profoundly relaxing and atmospheric game. It gave me this weird sense of kind of, not peace, but it is weird. Like, it was almost like going on a holiday in a way, being a hiker. And again, it's not so much like a transport game, it's more like a strategy game, because all the systems that involve you transporting stuff, it's like, the way you position certain things so that the acid rain doesn't impact them the same way. How are you putting them on your back so that it doesn't mess with your balance? And what equipment are you using? How much weight and all this other stuff? It's kind of more like a strategy game. So even someone like Death Singer, you never know, they might actually like it, because a lot of the games that he likes, RPGs and stuff, they do have a lot of downtime and exposition, and there is a lot of time in RPGs where you're spent just exploring or walking around, right? And it is kind of that intertwined with quirky, otherworldly elements, a bit of horror, a bit of strategy, and all these other things. So yeah, I would say, like, look, yes, it may look a bit boring or whatever, like, but there's qualities and gameplay systems to it that just watching a gameplay trailer will not show. It's something that you really have to play, because it may just look like you're just walking, but there's a lot of time and planning and strategy or whatever that's gone into this journey that he's making.
And I wouldn't say go spend the $70 on it, but it's one of those games, you're right, Nib, where it's like, don't knock it till you try it. You know what I mean? You really do have to kind of experience it to say you liked it or didn't like it.
Just to bounce off this point, like, for example, I was running out of time, and I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but it was like I needed to get off this mountain, and I had in my equipment a speed skeleton, and I had my stabilizers on. So I equipped my speed skeleton, found some snow that wasn't too deep so that I could sprint, and I super jumped off the mountain and gradually fell hundreds of meters to the ground. I had to then collect an item from the bottom of this ravine. And this ravine was dangerous. It was full of toxic gas and all sorts. And I could have used my gas mask and climbed down, but I wanted to do it a bit more creatively. So I got my ladder out, I placed it over the ravine, walked halfway across the ladder, got out my sticky gun, which is a gun that attaches to stuff and pulls it toward you. And I shot the items at the bottom of the ravine, avoiding the gas altogether, and grabbed them as they flew back towards me up the ladder whilst I was on the ladder. And it was like just an innovative way that I figured out in my own head on how to collect these items at the bottom of this gaseous ravine that would have been hazardous to go down into and difficult to get out of. And it's like, you know, the game didn't tell me to do that, but it was just an innovative way to experience. But talking about the raw mechanics doesn't do this game justice. It's an experience. And a fundamental part of that experience is the story. It's the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And the interaction with people in the world who have left things for you to help you, purely out of want, that have really saved your neck at the last minute. You know, a respite shelter at the last minute, or a zip line. You know, wait to get you to this really difficult place that otherwise would have been through loads of BTs and challenging. And you've got little Lou getting upset and not comfortable, and you want to keep Lou happy because she's your little Tamagotchi. You know, she's your little precious little character that you want to look after and you want to keep happy. And it's like, bro, like this game, man, like it changed me. It changed me as a person, especially as a dad, you know, to a little girl. Like it's just something special, bro. It really is. There's a reason why even Reforge, being the Destiny 2, you know, gamer that he is, the super cash that he was, where he's only focused on one game at the time. He played Death Stranding recently. He said it's become one of his favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
So, like, it just goes to show this game is powerful, guys. Don't underestimate it. But please, if there's any advice that I can give, do not sacrifice your pacing through the story for side missions. You will burn out, and you'll put the game down, and you won't pick it back up.
That's what originally happened to me too. I mean, I got to look up the hours. I did so many side quests, and that's what kind of deterred me from and put the controller down. I think I have like 38 trophies, and I'm like, you know, and then Willie's like, just go back and play it.
I will say one more thing about the game is really interesting, because this is a conversation that really came up. Like, you know, a lot of people saying like, oh, how did this game with this Metacritic or whatever get so many Game of the Year nominations, this, that. And I don't think necessarily people realize how the breakdown of Game of the Year works. The Metacritic only tells you so much, because what happened with Death Stranding, right, is if you go on Metacritic right now and have a look at the review, maybe the average rating is like, I don't know, mid-80s or something, right? But if you look at the breakdown of the scores, there are quite a number of really low scores, but there are a massive number of like 10s and really high scores. So it's a very divisive game. So what happens is, even if the Metacritic average will come out of the mid-80s, there's a shit ton of people for whom it was a masterpiece, like Wooly here, right? Yeah. I'm not as high on it as Wooly, but you know, there's some people who absolutely adored it and have never played anything like it. And when you go to Game of the Year nominations, if there's like out of 300 journalists, like even if like 40 of them adored it, that is enough to get you a nomination, even if some people really hated it. Because they're going to be voting for other games, but Death Stranding still picked up enough nominations because there was a large number who loved it, even if outliers brought the review average down. So even if there's 10 reviews that are 5 and 6 or 4, there's still like 25, 30, 40 reviews that were really high. And that's why I would say, like, because that the game is like that and it can be divisive, but at the end of the day, more people really loved it, I would still give it a go. Like, before the sequel comes out, if you want to get your feet wet, buy it cheap and give it a go, but take your time with it. And understand that is an experiential game. Like, if you do have ADHD and you need constant instant gratification, you know, from high octane action and things like that, this is not going to give you that. But if you want that kind of, you know, even Starfield players and like No Man's Sky players and people like that who like the expansive world and just to get lost in them and have that beautiful atmosphere, this is the kind of game for you.
So let me ask you guys a question. Hold on a second, Willie. Let me ask a question real quick. Yatsek in the chat, he says, is Death Stranding 2 Sony owned or Kojima owned? Isn't it Kojima's IP now? But
he bought back the IP, yeah.
Yeah, so it's Kojima's IP, but PlayStation is the publisher. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Will this one make its way all around? I don't know. I don't know. I can tell
Probably
you
at some point.
I would think so. I would think this will make its way around eventually, but I do think it'll start as a console exclusive for the PS5.
Yeah, but Sony will have publishing, being the publisher, they'll have a clause with that, probably for 2 years, not to although it can go to PC within however long,
Right.
That it
will Sony remain the publisher when it goes to PC, whereas last time when it went to PC it went to 505 Games?
Probably not. They'll probably allow Kojima. The clause will mean Kojima can publish the game on other platforms after, so he'll go to another third-party publisher to publish the game on PC and Xbox if he chooses.
Okay.
But Sony have a clause to protect their investment for at least a couple of years.
I would think so. I would totally think so. So
that's kind of how it works.
James, Echo, what do you think about this? Is this going to be a pickup for you? Did you play the first one? Echo, did we lose you? You may have stepped away for a minute. Death Singer, did any of this from Wooly or Nib get you to hit the pre-purchase button while we were talking?
Nope.
Shocked.
Too many games to play. I mean, it's not really a shocker. There's so many games that I need to play that are on the back burner right now. Like, if I told you what I still have in the back burner just from this year, right? I have the first Berserker, right? Monster Hunter Wilds, AC Shadows, Trails of Daybreak 2, Yakuza, Part Life in Hawaii. I got Oblivion. I have Atelier Yumiya. That's games I haven't played yet, or haven't completed yet. And we're still getting new games. Like, The Outer Worlds 2 is a day one. Like, The Outer Worlds 2 is going to be... That's going to be my... That's going to be a fun time. So, I mean, I just don't... It's just not my type of game. Like, when I look at a game, you need to sell me on it. Like, when Xbox showed off Perfect Dark, I'm like... Okay, but are you selling me on it? Not really. I need to see more. But then when he showed off Fable, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing what I'm liking what I'm seeing, so I'm willing to go in with you.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have to show me. At the end of the day, it's like, show me what you got. If it interests me, I'll play a game. If it doesn't interest me, then it won't. It's like AI limit.
So
who played AI Limit? Probably, if I said AI Limit, a lot of people would be like, I have no idea what the hell that game is. But it stood out to me. When I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, okay. Sure, I'm willing to go in on it. So
Death Singer, though, real quick, though, so you made a really good point, and I think it holds water. But when you heard a lot of critics and reviewers speak to the 30 hours they played, they said that they feel that people who didn't like the first one would probably end up liking this one. Does that change anything or make you look into it a little further, or no?
Gameplay. People were posting the gameplay. And shout out to Jeff. I mean, he's a treasure.
That's your buddy. That's your buddy.
But,
Jeff, he's a treasure.
He clearly doesn't play a lot of games. But, it is what it is. But I've seen a lot of it, and it's a really pretty game. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. It's just I don't have interest. So I'm not going to... I have limited time as it is, because I have all these games to play. Like, I have to prioritize what stands out to me the most.
Oh, what a hard life it is for you, bro.
I know. I mean, it's a hard life for everyone. When you like... I listed the games I have on my backlog, and that's just from this year. And it's like, well, I need to play Doom and Expedition 33, and then I got Outer Worlds 2, and then I got other games I'm sure that are gonna get announced at June when the whole showcase things happen at Summer Games Fest. So, like, shit could change on a dime, but it's just never. I never was on board. It was like I was never on board Souls games. Never. Had no interest. Zero. But when I saw the Elden Ring trailer, I was like, okay, this is my aesthetic. High fantasy. I see the tree. I'm buying into your vision. Let's go. and completely enjoyed the game.
Out of curiosity, but did you not find that from like Dark Souls though and Demon Souls? Because they're kind of high fantasy.
They do have that. But at the time, it wasn't on the radar because other things were coming out, right? Bear in mind, they showed off Elden Ring at kind of the right time because there wasn't much coming out I was interested in. So I was sat there looking for the next big thing, and I was like, you know what? I'll throw my hat in because this is more up my street. But like when Dark Souls 2 and 3 released, I wanted to know that. I was playing like Elder Scrolls Online. I was playing like Halo and Gears before.
It's going to sound like I'm pitching you, right? But I'll just say this to everyone, right? We, in this hobby, like real innovation and unique games are actually quite rare. We seldom come across them. You get them a lot from the indie space, or not a lot, but more so from the indie space. But in AAA games, it doesn't come around that often. And this Death Stranding is kind of like an indie game with a AAA budget, really. It's like a quirky AAA but it just has huge production. And I would say, like, even if you have other games that you're interested in or whatever, just because you want something fresh that you haven't necessarily experienced before, or that is very different, it's going to be totally different to everything else you play, not just this year, but probably for the last few years, right? You can pay RPG number 1, 2, 3, 10, 50, right? Like I gave Expedition 33 a 10, but it's not going to be as much of a unique experience as Death Stranding. And I do think Death Stranding 2, and I do think there is value in that. So I would just say, look, consider it, because we always talk about, gamers always complain that we get iterative, samey shit. But then when something comes along that's actually different, we scoff our noses at it, or we don't even give it a go.
But
So I would say,
here's the problem with that. It's like when it comes to a game, like what would make me drop a game is like, for example, Horizon. I had no interest in Horizon, right? And I was like, I'll give it a shot. That's what I said to everyone in the Discord. They're like, yo, it's on PC now. Give it a shot, my guy. You like Witcher 3? Play this game. This is Sony's Witcher 3. I was like, okay. I'll go out on the limb.
Whoever called it that needs shooting. Sorry. No,
it is what it is. So I bought the game. I went out on the limb. I bought the game, and I was like, okay, let me see what all the fuss is about. It just never brought me in. It's like Ghost of Tsushima. But that's the thing. It's like I didn't have interest in the beginning. I bought it because people told me you should play it because you like RPGs. So I went on their word. And I still didn't like it because I had no interest to begin with. I went into it.
I mean, I totally get that, but I think the mistake the person made, it is our action RPG light, like very light. It's verging more of an action game, right? And so I would say it's very much in the vein of like the storytelling cinematic, just with light RPG elements. And I think you prefer like broader and deeper RPG mechanics based on what I've heard you speak about in the past. So I would say, like, again, that person probably didn't understand your tastes and sensibilities, but Death Stranding is not like anything else because, like,
it's not like anything else. It's unique.
Have you played Juice France? Have you played Juice France, Singer?
No.
Jusant. It's on Steam. It's dead cheap.
I know. I saw it. It was shown at the Xbox Showcase. I think it went on Game Pass.
It's one of my favorite indie games of last year, probably of the generation. I just love it so much. The music, the gameplay, the graphics, everything is just sublime. But if you ever play Jusant, because it's dead cheap, you like what you play, and please consider Nib's pitch and try Death Stranding. It's on Game Pass PC. You might as well. You got nothing to lose. Give it a go.
Not just that singer. The other thing that's been a deterrent for you is you'll always say to me, Mooch, I'm not playing that game. This other game's coming out. There's nothing coming out in June. Is there, that you got on your map right now?
Actually, is there anything coming out in June? I haven't even looked at the updated release schedule. I'll have to look at it.
Ask that question means there isn't. So play Death Stranding, bro.
Yeah, I think my point is you might have, listen, again, that's the only reason I think you're getting this kind of a push is a couple of things. This may be different for something that you actually like. And to be honest with you, it's also a time where you don't have, that doesn't mean you're not going to be working on your backlog, but you don't have, I don't think there's anything new coming out. Is there anything else in June? I got to look at the list.
Even if there isn't anything new coming out, like, I am super hyped for like Trails of Daybreak 2, right? I love the Trails of series of JRPGs. Absolutely adore that. I desperately want to get to it, but I'm like, I told myself, put it away to the side. You need to beat this game. Put it away to the side. You need to beat this game. So when there's a downtime, I'm going to come back to an anticipated game of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So even if there is Atelier Yumiya, that's not for everyone, of course, but I'm a fan of the franchise, and I had to put its latest release on the back burner. Would I do that normally? No, but there's just so many games coming out that I want to play.
So in June, you do have the Switch too, but I know that's not Death Singer's bag, so that's out. Then you have Civilizations.
It actually is.
Civ 7. Actually, Civ 7's already out. I don't know why that's saying that. PC, it says Dune Awakening, Five Nights at Freddy, and Tron Catalyst. So I don't know if that's the extensive list. I Googled it quick, but I don't think any of those games are hitting your must play list either. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just that, when they say right time, right place, man, imagine that singer all of a sudden, right time, right place gets, he gets into the Kojima, like.
I mean, you were right, Wooly. Imagine that. You were right, Wooly.
The thing is, it has to be at the right time, right place. It's like, I was never into the Dragon Quest series. Until one day I was like, I got nothing to play. Let me go check out Dragon Quest 11. I'm now into that series.
Yeah.
The same thing as Elden Ring, into the Souls type games, got me in there. It's like I was never into these types of games, but then I was.
That's why, honestly, you know what?
I have nothing better.
So listening to the history of Death Singer here, Nib and Wooly, I would say that I think that he, as much as Wooly's probably going to say no, you should play one. I think because of what I've seen from Skill Up and like say a bunch of others that played for 30 hours, I think the second one is really where he's going to start. He started Dragon Quest 11. He started at Elden Ring. I mean, so clearly Death Singer does not need to go back to Inception to enjoy a game or a series. So I think that maybe the second one, if he's going to play any of them, it sounds like he's going to like the second one better. It'll have some more.
It just needs to grab me. Like you like at the showcases, I'm like, show me what I want, and I skip a whole bunch of games. They're like Xbox's last showcase.
Mm-hmm.
The Summer Game Fest thing. I was like, yeah, not interested. Oh, that looks good. And a state of play. It's like Lost Soul Aside. Lost Soul Aside was not on my radar at all. And they showed that trailer, I'm like, bet.
Right.
Yep. And then I saw it was coming day and date to PC, and I was like, oh, love you. Let's go.
Speaking of trailers, you guys are seeing on screen right now Borderlands 4. I loved everything I saw in that state of play that they showed. I just hope that the game plays a little faster than what the way that it was presented. I hope it's a little faster. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Did anyone feel like the combat was just a little slow, or is that me? I hope it's a faster gunplay experience.
I think I'm going to assume, and it's just throwing this out there, the way that especially American developers, for some reason, the way they showcase games, you always have that slow pan. And it's so flippin' annoying.
It's real. Like, it's very annoying.
Why do you do the slow pan and slow walk, thinking that's not how you play a game, right?
Right.
And I think they try for cinematic purposes to kind of make everything super deliberate,
right?
And they oversell it, in a way. Whereas I think you could play this game faster, just looking like this bit where he's strafing in the air.
Yeah,
there is speed to be had there, but it's just the stupid kind of walking and slow strafing that he did for showcase purposes.
Yeah, because I think if you want to really sell this thing, people are looking for fast-paced shooter with tons of guns, tons of loot, bunch of attachments. skill trees that are never ending, and that you can reuse tokens or whatever the monetary or skill up level is, to constantly go through different trees and better your character. And I thought that they did a good job of showing those skill trees and showing what the character can do, but the speed that it happens just seemed like it was very almost last gen is the word. I don't like using those terms, but it seems almost last gen. I'm sure that's going to be that's not going to be the case when we're playing it. I can't see them having that situation. I even hope they have a 120 frame option, even if they lower the resolution a bit there. But yeah, sorry to derail that. James, I did ask you before, what do you think about Death Stranding? Is this on your radar? Did you play the first one?
Yeah, I played the first one, and I think it was you and Nib, maybe? I'm trying to remember, but who had said that you can get lost and burnt out doing side stuff. And so that was a mistake that I had made initially too. And I got to a certain point where I was like, okay, I just need to focus on the main stuff. And then that's when I really got more invested and interested in it, and enjoyed it more. And after hearing, Nib and Wooly talk about Death Stranding 2, especially Wooly here, I mean, that type of passion and just, that's something that I think is important for these games, just personally, because I've talked to people off in my hardcore friends, and I think you guys have touched on it a bit too, of how we're in a generation, or we're in a kind of like I don't know what the right word is, but a situation where a lot of these free-to-play games have been kind of cannibalizing a lot of these bigger, like in-depth story type games. And so I know I probably sound a little hypocritical because I'm a huge Warzone guy, but things like Fortnite, Warzone, Apex, these free-to-play games, that have been just consuming the younger generation and stuff like that. And granted, I play a lot of Warzone, but I also play a ton, as you know, Mooch, of story games. Like that, I play a lot. And so I think it's good for these these games to arise. And you have said this in the past, and it makes a ton of sense, is that these younger generations are going to grow up and their interests are going to change towards these types of games. And so I think, like, using Cleric Obscura Expedition 33 as an example too, is that it shows that these games can still, because the sales for for Cleric Obscura have been phenomenal. And it shows that these types of games, along with Death Stranding 2, still have a place and a purpose, a huge place and a huge purpose in the gaming industry. And so, using Wooly as an example again, that passion that he just described that game, that is the energy that the gaming industry needs, all like just to continue going and making sure that these free-to-play games don't cannibalize the industry. And so, like, his just explanation drive, that's how I feel. Like I always said, it changed him as a person. That's how I felt about a game called Stellar Blade. That changed me as a person as well. But no, like, but seriously, like, it's
when you say changed you, did it change you into a gooner or in some other way?
Listen, Nib, as soon as I finished that game, I wrote them letters. They haven't responded to any of my letters, my messages in a bottle. I told them, I will be a part of your next franchise in any way possible, shape, or form. I'll do it for free. I don't care. You need me to move to South Korea, I will. I'll leave everything behind.
By the way, Echo, if you love Stellar Blade, I made a music video of Stellar Blade on my YouTube channel, so you should check it out. It was my first ever music video I did.
I'm going to save it. I'm going to put it in my playlist. I'm going to save it and listen to it every time I wake up. And but seriously, like, I will be getting Death Stranding 2, because I thought the story was interesting. And even if you didn't, like I said, even if you didn't like the story itself for Death Stranding, again, that type of creativity that Kojima, I think developers should strive for in general. Again, not just the story, but just, I remember playing that intro, and it was just, that intro hooked you in Death Stranding 1. Like, I mean, that intro of him on the bike and just crossing the valley, like, I mean, that hooked you, and like that, at least it hooked me. And again, mechanics, the visuals. I mean, it was just breathtaking in my opinion. But again, that shows that there is a place for these types of games still. And so I will be playing it, and I'm also thinking in a different mode too, Mooch, and I'm sure you can agree, you'll attest to this too, about now that, starting streaming, it's one of these things where like, okay, now I'm thinking in a different light as well. Like this would be a great game to stream, or it would be a good game to introduce to people and just envelop others into an in-depth story like that as well.
Yeah, no, I really, really do think so. I think that it was funny that you say that. I believe it was Fighting Cowboy that, just years later, it was just maybe like 6 months ago, I think he ran through Death Stranding. And it was funny, his first episode, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not going to put any words in his mouth, but he said, he's kind of trucking through it. And, he was like, okay, all right, And then I watched like, I don't know, 6-7 episodes later, and now he's into it, and he was having fun with it, and he was getting the audience riled up with it, and he was like, "Oh my god, this story is amazing!" Like, and he genuinely, I think, grew to love it. I didn't watch the entire series he did. I just spot checked here and there, but again, it was that huge like differential from starting the game and walking in kind of like to like how he ended up being like, "All right, yeah, I can't wait to try the second one out now. This is really, really good." And I think that's the thing, giving it a shot. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people won't give it a shot because it's not in their wheelhouse.
Right. And I think, like him playing it, I think there'd be a different, now if I were to try to, stream that and play it and doing all the types of side stuff, I can absolutely see the burnout. But like if you focused on the story and just playing it through for an audience, again, I'm just using it as an audience, perspective, then you can, again, it's one of those games where it's not just a game, but it's like, it's a movie game. Like you're really getting into the cinematics and the visuals and the story and the writing. So I think, yeah, I think it would be a good thing to visit.
I also have a question for Echo.
Yeah, buddy.
Are you gonna join the real Guna squad and get Stellar Blade on PC?
You know what? Listen,
and then hit up Nexus mods and play the real experience, real game.
No.
Destinger, I will message you if I need that whole mod experience, and you'll know.
Oh, you will with Stellar Blade.
If you, I told Mooch, if you don't hear from me for a couple months in June, starting in June, you'll know why. And listen to anybody who's denying that, you're lying to yourself and others, because you're lying to yourself.
It will be something, man. It will be something. Well, let me do this, guys. We are approaching almost the 4-hour mark, and I told Nib we were not going to go 4 hours tonight, and yet we are very close. I want to say thanks to this amazing panel. Thanks to this great chat. Shout out again to Mash. Mash, thank you. I believe you gave 30 gifted memberships tonight. I can't say thank you enough for that. Thanks, guys, for all the super chats. I believe I've gotten everybody's read here. Outstanding. Yatzak, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate that. I hope we see you every single week. Guys are outstanding. Really, really good. Outstanding. And I know we own almost 500 here tonight. We still have 250. Please hit that like button if you didn't already. It takes a second. It really, really means the world to me, guys. If everybody that was here right now literally hit that like button if you didn't already, really mean the world to me. Thank you so much. I'll go in reverse order here and go to Echo. We got a big weekend hopefully coming up. That's if all the mechanics, all the sound checks out, all the video checks out, the games all work when we go to launch these things on Twitch. But Echo, thanks for being here, buddy. Let people know where they can find you on Twitch, buddy, because it's a big, big get.
God, you just jinxed us with all of that.
No, I do it.
Everything goes well.
I do it every week. You're good. Trust me, I do it every week. You're good.
I do. I'm so excited that this has been, as you know, a long time in the making for us to do.
Yep.
So I'm extremely excited that we've gotten we're pretty much 99.9% of the way there. So
that's right.
You can find me at twitch.tv. /EchoJV. Well, I'm just trying to think of the entire URL. That's where you can find me, and you'll be seeing a lot of me and Mooch playing Warzone and other games. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a ton of fun.
It is. It's gonna be a good time.
You're gonna see a real fun side of us. Thank you for having me and finally being able to talk to you guys and introduce myself.
Awesome to have you, Echo. Appreciate it. Great first time on a podcast. Outstanding work, everybody. Round of applause. Great to have Echo here. The great Willie Gamer, everybody. Willie, listen, I even was like, I was hoping you could make tonight. You're like, I'll be there. And I said, with Death Stranding news, Even if you have work, you have to be here, Willie. It doesn't matter. So, Willie, great to have you as always. I love the passion. You can hear it in your voice. If anybody's not following Willie, let them know also while you talk about a little bit about the YouTube channel that you are probably going to be doing a lot more on in the future. Let them also know about where they can find you on X, because you really do get into games and you speak about games in a unique way, which I think more people need to follow you. Thanks for being here, Willie.
Oh, that's very, very kind of you to say, bro. Thank you, man. First of all, it's been an absolute privilege meeting Echo. Really nice to meet you, brother, and to chat.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's nice meeting you and just the whole panel too, man.
You remind me a bit of Thrifty and Axel. Axel is a good friend of mine, and Thrifty is a good friend of mine, and you kind of got a nice balance there. You remind me of those two, and they're awesome guys. So yeah, it's been nice chatting with you.
Appreciate it, brother.
You guys can find me at Wooly Gamer YT for YouTube, Wooly Gamer YouTube, or Wooly Gamer YT on Twitter. Same with my YouTube channel, just Wooly Gamer. And yes, watch this space. Exciting things are on the way. Let's just say I'm getting a team together, Avengers style.
That's all you need to know, Wooly. The team's getting back together.
And what I will say, guys, is keep on gaming on. And
that's right.
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. But also one more thing. The tonight's show has just been phenomenal. It's been sensational, and I am sorry to everyone at the start. Messed up, right, guys? I'm really bad at spoilers, and I don't mean to be. It just happens. It just comes out, right? But I'll try and not repeat that going forward. All right.
Don't worry, Willie.
He messaged me separately saying, "Oh crap, I messed up. I didn't mean to say."
Yeah, I was like, don't worry, it's only on YouTube. No one will see it. All right, the great Willie Gamer, everybody. That was great, Willie. He's like, don't worry, ignore that. Nib, great to have you as well, buddy.
Thank you, man. Great.
A lot of fun tonight, as always. I love how you bring the facts, buddy. You bring all the news with you, the facts. You have great footage as well on X, and waiting for you to launch your big YouTube debut one day. Nib, let them know where they can find you. Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, cheers. And again, Echo, I want to share the sentiments of Willie. It was nice to have you on, dude. I don't think I've engaged
thanks,
with you.
man. Yeah, no, I do want to say real quick, Nick, a lot of times when I'm listening to the podcast, in my past life, I was in accounting and auditing. So I really do, when you talk about the numbers, I think a lot of people need to know that, a decision a company makes, I would say 90, maybe 97, 98% of the time, you can always find the reason rooted in the reporting. So I just wanted to say that. And that's so when you talk about that stuff, I understand it. So I enjoy hearing that.
Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, it's just I'm just on X, NIB95_. That's it.
Appreciate you, Nib, as always. And the great Death Singer, everybody. Death Singer, everybody was waiting on their hands and under their legs. Just like, what is Death Singer going to finally play Death Stranding? We're going to get him to play Death Stranding. I still think we can get you to play Death Stranding, Death Singer. We'll see what happens as the...
set it up as a charity event. As a charity event, we should get Death Singer to play Death Stranding.
And stream it. Stream it.
The thing is, it has to be you just have to catch me at the right time. It's like Elden Ring caught me at the right time. I'm not a Souls guy by any means. You'll never
You're always
catch me.
gooning, bro. When's the right time? You're always downloading adult mods for your PC games. When will be the right time?
Well, I mean, come on. Until you played modded Baldur's Gate 3, you ain't.
I'm gonna start calling you Death Gooner.
You haven't lived until you've done that, right? Death Singer?
The thing is, it's like, playing Final Fantasy VII Remake and having Master Chief and all the extra mods, like it's just something to it. And bear in mind, most of the time when I mod a game, it's after I beat the game. And bear in mind, a lot of mods aren't about that. A lot of mods are quality of life or fixing shit the developers should have done. Shout out to Starfield. Like, just regular people at home had to fix their shit for us to have a nice experience. So, shout out to them because they handle quality of life and the stuff the developers don't give a shit about, and they'll actually remedy it. So, and bear in mind, a lot of mod content is extra content, like extra missions.
Go play Death Stranding, bro.
You got this.
If I have the time and if it catches me at the right time, I will. If not, then it is what it is. I mean,
well, Death Singer, the entire audience doesn't want you to miss out. Hopefully, you'll find the time, but let people know where they can find you, Death Singer.
You can find me everywhere, gooning, as they say in the streets. So yeah.
That's
there we
great.
go. You can find me Death Singer everywhere.
There you go, everybody. Death Singer's everywhere. You know where to find him. That's probably the best outro we've had in a while. It's fantastic. Shout out to the great Death Singer. Guys, I'll do a couple of quick plugs here for the folks that had to leave early. Hold on while I actually go and locate each one of their ats on X. Shout out to the great Crap Gamer. He had to leave early. That's at _Crap Gamer, Crap Gamer Reviews over on YouTube. The Wise Old Gamer, it's at Wise Old Gamer, and he does Kitten Wise with Wise on Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. So I apologize if I stumbled there. Slow-mo backslap, a great slow-mo. Everybody's doing DPS right now with the Great Gaming Forte. Tell him Mooch sent you if you go over there. And of course, Brap, shout out to Brap. He did tweet it out. He's coach of the year, guys. I talk to Brap all the time. He just can't make Thursday nights. It's been rough. But check out Brap. I bet you he does a podcast tomorrow night. That's at Brap_podcast and Brap Podcast over on YouTube. You guys, great show tonight. Please, again, hit that like button on the way out. Thank you all for the super chats. Again, twitch.tv, Mooch TV. Drop the O's for zeros, M00CHTV. We are going to be over there this weekend. So please go over there and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. Same over on X, guys, to get more information on both channels and both shows coming up. That being said, we'll see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, go play some games. We'll talk next week. Peace out. Good night.
Laters, everyone.
Laters.